Today I'm doing a draft-only rebuild with the Washington Nationals. I'm starting with a roster entirely full of 1 overall Joe Randoms. And to make it just that little bit harder, I'll be releasing any of the good players that I left on the roster so that other teams can pick them up. The most prominent of which is James Wood, who looks to be a stud in the making. And after releasing all of those good players, here's a look at our lineup. That is right, Joe Randoms everywhere. And the same thing for our rotation and our bullpen. So over the coming years, and it'll take at least 5 years to pretty much field a full roster, I will need to replace all of these Joe Randoms with players that I have drafted. There will be no trades, no waivers, no free agents. The only players that I'll be able to field on this team are players that I scouted and drafted. And of course, our goal will be to win the World Series. So with all that explained, let's start speeding through this first season and get to the 2025 MLB Draft. Before we can begin scouting, we need to set ourselves up for success, and by that I mean hiring the best scouts that we can. David Ling here at the top is the best position player scout that I could find, Henry Rosen is the best pitcher scout, and Dan McAtee is the best and one of the cheapest discovery scouts. If you're ever wondering what a team of 1 overall Joe Randoms can do, we lost 43-0 on opening day to the Phillies. They had, 37 hits. And of course, Zach Wheeler pitched a 9-inning, 2-hit, 14-strikeout shutout. But all we really need to focus on is scouting. And one of the strategies that we are going to use throughout this entire rebuild is discovery, especially for pitchers. One of the reasons why I wanted to use the National Series because they have the first overall pick. So that gives us an opportunity to have our complete choice of the best position player we want, 1-1. In the initial few years, I'm not afraid of taking players who may have low floors but high ceilings, like Sergio Manuel here. He's kind of a project starting pitcher, but that's fine because we're going to have plenty of years to let these guys develop. In year 1 here, there are a ton of pitchers at the top of the board as well as older position players. We're going to end up scouting a lot of those pitchers naturally, so I'm most interested in scouting Alfonso Rosa as the first position player because he's 18 years old, looks to have great contact skills, and shortstop is a keystone position. As far as our positions of need, we of course need everything. However, I'm going to start with starting pitcher as well as shortstop. Unfortunately, after the first week of scouting, Alfonso Rosa does not look to be too good. He fell down the board. So let's take a look at Brandon Black here and see if he's any better. Looks like Brandon Black is pretty good after a week of scouting. His potential range is not super high, but that contact is fantastic. Now, I said I didn't want to take a pitcher 1-1 here, but Thomas Chan may be too good to pass up. Look at those stats, guaranteed high A potential. It's going to be tough. It's just a little bit difficult for me to get myself to draft a pitcher 1-1 because it's so easy to discover prospects like Sean Quintana, who's ranked 11th. Also, this past week, our Discovery Scout found what could be an unbelievable relief pitcher. We're going to need a lot of those. And as far as our squad of 1 overall Joe Randoms, we continue to get absolutely demolished. We are putting up a couple runs in some games, but we're currently 0-34, and I expect us to go defeated this season. Ahead to week 9 now, I think I might have found our first late-round gem here in Thomas I-Brodie. He was ranked 157, but now has moved all the way up to 107 after 1 week of scouting. Great contact, vision, and discipline. Guys like this are going to be key to our success. We have found a ton of really good pitcher prospects. We've got some discovery guys as well, like Tim Shepard, Hal Nance, Sean Quintana, along with several other options as well. So I'm really putting emphasis on trying to find position players, which is going to be a lot harder throughout this video than finding good pitching. Unfortunately, Ryan Holden fell way down the board, no longer ranked. I'm not having any luck with catchers in this class. Willie Samuel still looks decent. I especially like his hits per nine and his walks per nine. Finishing up the last week of scouting, we are still defeated 0-95, and it is time for the first draft of this video. Here's a look at my draft board. You can see there's a ton of pitchers on here, and then we get to some later round options. I got a couple of good gem position players that we'll want to take in the 2nd and 3rd round. We might even be able to get a guy like Thomas I-Brodie in round 4. And the first pick is a really tough decision because there's some excellent pitchers towards the top of the board. But I can get discovery guys who have stats that I really like. Remember, there's no trading for me here, so I got to pick guys that I know I'm going to play. Tom Shepard with that walks and hits per 9 could be a great 2nd round option. I don't feel like I need to take a pitcher in this 1st round. So with that in mind, I'm going to take the best position player that I found, 1-1, Brandon Black. He may not have the highest potential range, but that contact is going to make him a superstar. This is a guy who could go for batting titles. We skip way ahead for our second round pick to number 45. A lot of the other guys on my board have fallen, but as expected, Discovery starter Tim Shepard is still here. Even though his velo's a little bit low, I still think with that walks per nine and hits per nine, this is a guy that's going to be a future 3.5 ERA pitcher, and I want him on our team. Back to position players for pick 82. I like Julio Mateo here at first base. He can also play corner outfields. I just think with the above average contact, average other hitting stats, 57th ranked, I still feel like he could be a decent player. For pick number 4, it's a really tough call between Hal Nance, another great starter, but as I've mentioned, it's not too hard to get great starters, and I know we're going to need some really good relievers. Even though Samuel is 21, I just really like his stats, and I want to get a reliever on the team. 2 picks left to go. Hal Nance is still on the board. That leads me to believe that he's going to stay here for our final pick, so I want to grab Thomas Irabu, another outfielder. We have had a bit of an outfielder-heavy first draft here, but still want some good position players on this team. And as expected with our final pick, Hal Nance is still here. This is an absolute steal in round 6. I just noticed that before we went into the MLB draft, we actually had a super close game against the Cardinals. Somehow we only lost 2-1. All right, it's the moment of truth. Let's see our draft picks from the very first draft. I'm seeing some blue in there. Nobody with super high potential, but let's take a look at what we got. Brandon Black is about what I expected, mid-B potential, 65 overall at 19, but with those hitting stats, speed, defense, this is going to be one of our best players. Tim Shepard looks really good, high B potential. Look at that walks per 9. First baseman Julio Mateo might be the best pick we had in this draft, 52 overall, so he's got a long ways to go, but we've got time. He's going to develop into a really well-rounded player. Reliever Willie Samuel is not as good as I thought, and unfortunately his clutch is really low. This is a skill that you cannot scout for. Left fielder Thomas Irabu looks decent for a 5th round pick. And as we expected, Hal Nance is about as good as you can do in round 6, 63 overall at 18. Starting pitcher, he does have the high clutch. Nance is going to be a big part of this team in about 4 to 5 years. Looking around the league to see if I missed anybody, the Dodgers got a couple of really good picks that I would have liked. 18-year-old shortstop Saul Colon. The hitting stats are not great, but still would have been a good pick. Giants got a couple of really good outfielders, but they're 21 and 22. I was really trying to focus on 18 and 19-year-olds. And honestly, after looking around the rest of the league, I feel like we did very well. There were not too many position players, young developmental position players that we missed out on, so I'm happy with our first draft. No surprise, we finished this season completely defeated, 0-162. And as far as the serious teams, the Mets defeated the Astros in the World Series. As far as our draft picks from the past year, Thomas Irabu is going to start in Class A just because he's only 53 overall. We'll let him get up to about 60 overall. Julio Mateo will also be in Class A for a year, maybe 2. Willie Samuel and Hal Nance will be in Double A. Brandon Black is certainly good enough for Double A. We're going to have our eyes on him. I think he's going to end up being a great player, and I should be able to develop his power a bit. And lastly, our 2nd round pick, Tim Shepard, is probably good enough for Double A, but I'm also going to give him a year in Class A. I think with his walks per 9, he'd do just fine, but let's let him develop a little bit before we start throwing him into games. Of course, the good thing about being by far the worst team in the league is we have got a great chance at a 1st round pick again here for 2026. We fall to number 3, but that's still good position for us to get another blue chip player. Now, the Rule 5 draft does not count as a draft for this. It's only the amateur draft. I will not be picking anybody in the Rule 5, so we'll be skipping past that. So we're back for 2026 Season 2. The lineup is full of Joe Randoms once again, as well as our pitching rotation and bullpen. I did have to sign a couple of non-Joe Randoms just to fill out the roster. So let's move into Season 2. We're going to be focusing on the draft, of course. Our team's going to be terrible once again, which is just hilarious how bad they are. For the second draft of this video, I really want to find a potential position player at the top of the board. We also need to focus on infield because we got a lot of outfielders last time. We did get a first baseman, but middle infield and catcher are especially going to be key positions. The best case scenario would be if we could find a generational player somewhere in here, but that is, of course, a little easier said than done. Unfortunately, the top of the board is really stacked with 21-year-olds, but also stacked with outfielders, so we may have to go a little further down the board to find some position players like maybe Leland Gregory here. There's a couple of really good second base options up top. A few starts into Hal Nance's career. He is impressing in Double A already, 6 career starts, 31 innings pitched, and a 3.13 ERA. As expected, Nance is going to be pretty good. Brandon Black, on the other hand, has been up to a bit of a slow start here through 26 games, only batting .215. Not worried about him at all, though. He'll turn it around. And while he's in the minors, it's going to help that his quirk is Rally Monkey, performing better when the team is behind, because considering the rest of this team, we are going to be behind pretty much every game. Looks like second baseman Corey Williams is going to be the front runner for our first pick. He can play 3 out of the 4 infield positions. We need second base and third base. Very good bat skills, great speed, solid defense. Would love to get Corey. So with the front runner for our first pick finally figured out, we can start to look for some more gems in the later rounds. We may have just hit the jackpot. Our Discovery Scout just found the 17th ranked player in the class, third baseman Kurt Harris. Could be a great choice for us. Let's see if he's any good. After a week of scouting, he's stayed high up on the board here. His contact looks excellent. Should have pretty good defense as well. Very promising for Kurt Harris here. Meanwhile, in Double-A, Hal Nance continues to impress, getting even better 2.34 ERA, developing nicely. And it looks like Willie Samuel, the reliever that we took, has found his way as an opener here, 2.09 ERA, doing very well in Double-A, but we really need to develop his clutch. We still have not won a game, and we haven't come particularly close. A couple of 2-run losses, as we've seen before, 0-2 here versus San Fran. If you're the Giants, you've got to be questioning yourself after this, playing against a team of entirely Joe Randoms. Heading into the second draft of this video, I feel really good about our opportunities here. Corey Williams is without a doubt who I want to take 1-1, infielder, number 3 ranked overall. Bat skills look fantastic, a lot of speed, solid defense. Would be a great pick for us. Perfect. The Angels and the Marlins do not take Corey Williams. I am not even going to think twice about this. This is my favorite draft pick that we've had so far. Now for the 39th pick, none of the other guys towards the top of my board were taken. And I am going to risk that Kurt Harris will fall to the next round for us. He does look really, really good, but I want to get this pitcher, Freddie Triola, who I'm pretty sure will not fall. I just think with his hits per 9, walks per 9, really good pitch mix, I think he's going to be a key part of our rotation down the road. Unfortunately, our third baseman did get taken, so I'm going to go with Andy Inman here for the third round. Now for the 108th pick, I want to secure this catcher, Miguel Vega-Ramos. And unfortunately now, a lot of the guys that I did really want have fallen off the board. I didn't have Phil Wells on my draft board initially, so I'm going back to the list of all the prospects. I don't love that his walks per 9 is low, but he's got decently high potential. I think maybe he could be a good long reliever, so let's go with Phil Wells. And for our final pick, there are no better options left than Julian Casilla. I did take more pitchers than I wanted here, but I still feel pretty good about it. As we continue to scout Corey Williams here during the signing process, I am getting more and more confident that there's a chance he could be a generational player. We will see, but that potential range at 18 years old is very promising. Very excited for this. Let's see how we did in the second draft of this video. And yes, Corey Williams is generational, 80 overall at 18. Look at those stats. That is so huge for us. That is going to make this rebuild so much more fun. As far as our other picks, it's not quite as important since we managed to get Corey Williams here, but they still will be very valuable. Freddie Triola, even though he's got 81 potential, the clutch is a little low, but for a starter, that hits per 9 and walks per 9 is going to be absolutely fantastic. Andy Inman also looks okay. He's not going to strike anybody out, but again, the hits per 9 and the walks per 9 are promising. He's got a lot of time to develop. As expected, Miguel Vega-Ramos is coming in at a very low overall at 45, but with 91 potential at 18, give him 4 or 5 years. He could be good enough to be a catcher for us. I just wanted to get at least one of these catchers in our system. And then our last 2 starters are nothing too special. I may end up converting them into relievers, especially Julian Casilla here. Looks like he could be a pretty solid reliever with that clutch. Walks per 9's pretty good. Decent velo and break. Phil Wells is probably the worst pick out of this draft. Don't love his build, but we'll get him in our farm system and see how he does. So we'll keep simming through the rest of this year, and even though Corey Williams is generational, of course, I'm going to start him in the minors, and he'll probably be there for two years, I would say, before we're ready to bring him to the MLB. I just don't want to start using his service time before the rest of our squad. We've still got a long way to go to start developing this team. Now coming to the end of 2026, we once again have gone defeated, 0-162, but as a reminder, this is good. We want to get as many high draft picks as we can. And the Dodgers defeat the Twins in the 2026 World Series. And as we go along here, I'm continuing to improve our staff year by year. We're not going to need the best staff until we really start fielding a major league roster, but we'll start adding some guys. Last year, I added a third base coach, Ollie Flutie. Now we'll need a new pitching coach and a farm director. So with our new prospects in here, here's a look at the squad. We've still got a few guys that are going to need to be in single A. Miguel Vega-Ramos is probably going to need 3 years in single A before he's good enough to play, but I still feel like he'll be part of this team down the road. We probably are going to need to get a better catcher at some point. The rest of our guys will be in Double-A. We saw some really good development out of Brandon Black. The only thing that went down was his contact versus righties. Everything else improved a lot, especially his power. Meanwhile, Hal Nance, I'm getting more and more excited about him. Look at that development. He had a great year in Double-A. Willie Samuel also improved his clutch a lot. He's still got a long ways to go, but he ended up having a very good season in Double-A as well. Tim Shepard is no longer going to be in Single-A. He is good enough for Double-A. And from that last clip, I did actually move a couple other guys to Single-A. I don't really want any of these guys to rush into Double-A until they're like low 60s overall. So some of our additional draft picks from the last year, they have high potential, but they're going to need a few years. As we're prepping for next year, I am starting to lose a ton of our Joe Randoms. I've only got one starting pitcher, Joe Random, left. So I have, well, I guess there's a couple down here. But as far as an MLB, I've only got one left. So I have had to sign some random guys. These are not going to be part of this rebuild at all. It's purely just to fill out the roster, and I'm going to need them to be in the MLB. So there is a small chance we may actually win a couple of games this year. But again, these guys are literally just to fill out the roster. That will not factor into this video. It'll only be players that we draft. I tried to sign like the worst players that I possibly could, but just to make sure that I don't screw up at any point. Obviously, they all have low potential, but I would just put the word no into their name so that I know that they won't be part of this team for the long haul. It's that time for the draft lottery again. Let's see if we can keep the number 1 pick this time. And we do. Fantastic. And we saw that even with the number 3 pick last year, we were still able to get a generational player, but it's a nice feeling knowing that I can take anybody that I want. Before we start scouting and drafting this year, let's head down to Double-A and check on a couple of our prospects. Leading off for us is outfielder Brandon Black, who was our first pick of the very first year. Black is the 4th-ranked left field prospect across the MLB, and he goes down swinging here today. Here is our generational second baseman, Corey Williams, his first professional at-bat. So the count is full. And Williams draws a walk. We'll take that. Taking the mound for us today is probably our most promising pitching prospect so far, Hal Nance. Nance's pitch mix includes a 4-seam slider, 2-seam and changeup, a very solid pitch mix for a starter. He does have pretty low velo and control, so I have been training him to try to improve those couple of stats. And he induces some weak contact there, the defense showing off, and that's a double play. I think there might have been some Joe Randoms involved there. We do get to see the defense from our generational prospect here. A nice little glove flip, didn't even use the throwing hand there. Now with 2 outs, here's a 2-2 pitch from Nance, and he gets a strikeout. Joe Randoms just singled back-to-back, and now we're scoring runs with guys who probably shouldn't even be on the field. And now Joe Random just hit a 3-run homer. And Hal Nance has come out of the game, but he has worked a beautiful outing, 6 innings, only 2 hits, did give up 2 walks, but did not give up any runs. So now we'll get a quick look at our only reliever, the tall righty, Willie Samuel. We're going to need to get some more relievers and closers in this next draft for sure. Samuel has a little bit more velo than Nance, but he still is lacking on control, break, and especially clutch. He does have a pretty solid pitch mix, though, as we see a strikeout right there, 2-seamer on the inside part of the plate. We're still rocking with the same scouts here. I check every year to make sure and see if there's any better ones that have come in. I don't love our scouts. I wish they had a little bit more efficiency, especially our position player scout, but we'll take it. Unfortunately, just about a week or so into his professional career, Corey Williams has gotten hurt. He does have 85 durability. He's going to be out for a few months. Hopefully this doesn't hurt his development too much. I think I found who I want to take 1-1 here, even though he's ranked 10th right now. Excellent contact vision and discipline here from Leslie Sciambi, but he can also play a lot of positions that we need. Third base and shortstop, left field and right field. Looks like a great player. And I may adjust the strategy a little bit this time. I'm probably only going to scout international starting pitchers and then turn my attention to focusing on relievers and closers. Our Discovery Scout just came up huge here in week 6. Second baseman Oswaldo Tejera, not a position we need, but I'll find a spot for him. This dude looks like he could be really, really good. A week later, Tejera did fall down on the board a little bit, but still would probably be good enough to take. But our Discovery Scout continues to find great options for us, and the last week they just found right fielder Steven Gonzalez, and he also looks fantastic. Can you believe it? We have scored our first victory defeating the Rangers with this lineup. How did we manage to do this? Okay, our starter had a pretty good outing. I think he's obviously not a Joe Random, but he has like 50 overall. That is really impressive. That is the first victory of this entire video, and we're not really meant to win any games. Back to what's most important, though, on the scouting side, we are having some very good luck so far. It looks like Steven Gonzalez, the Discovery right fielder, is going to be amazing. He's moved up the board. Meanwhile, closing pitcher Michael Rosales looks pretty good. He doesn't have great walks per 9, but he's got excellent control. Hits per 9, strikeouts per 9 look elite. He does have two changeups, though, so we may have to look at adjusting his pitch mix a little bit, maybe get a slider or a curveball in there. And meanwhile, we have just secured another win, 1-0 victory over Miami. That puts us to 2-69. Our generational player, Corey Williams, is back from the injured list, and the good news is he did continue to develop while he was injured. Meanwhile, Brandon Black is just getting better and better. OPS up to 778, fantastic on-base percentage, trying to develop his power. That's what we've got him focused on, and that is what has developed most out of all of his stats so far this year. Hal Nance is absolutely dominating in Double-A, just getting better and better. He's got a 2.29 ERA. And meanwhile, the southpaw, Freddie Triola, 66 overall. He's got a long way to go on his clutch, home runs per nine, control. All these need to get a little bit better. However, he does have a 3.09 ERA. That just shows you the power of hits per nine and walks per nine. And our only reliever, Willie Samuel, is also doing well, continuing to develop his clutch, and he's got a 1.99 ERA. All right, here's the plan for Draft 3, which honestly, I feel like this was the best job scouting I did this entire time. We've got a ton of great position player options. I want to take Leslie Shiambi for our first overall pick. Love the contact vision discipline. We talked about him already. The positional flexibility makes him so valuable to me. I can kind of fit him wherever I need. And I want to take him because he is not a discovery guy. He was ranked 11th. Steven Gonzalez is my favorite guy on the board. However, because he was discovery, I want to take the chance and see if he will fall to the second round. If we can get these two guys, this would be an extremely successful draft. I do really need to take a closer and or reliever or both, so Michael Rosales is my favorite option here for the bullpen. I'd love to get him in that fourth round. So let's get this thing started, and with the first pick, we're going to go with Leslie Shiambi. Leslie Shiambi, welcome to the Nationals. Now, this is the moment of truth. Does Steven Gonzalez fall to our next pick? He does not. He got taken as the 28th pick. It's a really tough call here between Tejera and Viciano, but I think if we're going to go for power, let's just go for power and get Viciano here. He's got elite outlier power. The defense is so good, too, that I almost feel like he could play another position besides first base, and our generational player is a second baseman, so let's go with Viciano here. Well, with the 77th pick, Tejera is still here, but I do feel like I need to get another pitcher in here, and I really like Eloy Calzado. He's also a lefty. Looks like he's going to have great stats. So let's get another starter in here and draft Eloy Calzado. And swimming ahead to our next pick, everyone is still on the board. Might have a chance to get all the guys that we want here, but I need to secure a closer. And I know that might seem crazy with a couple better, maybe more valuable positions up here. But remember, there's no trading, there's no free agency. I have got to fill out this roster all by myself. So I am going to go with Michael Rosales here. And simming all the way ahead, somehow Tejera is still on the board here. It's almost got me nervous that maybe our scout got this wrong, because usually a discovery position player this good would have already been taken. But I am going to take the risk and draft Oswaldo Tejera. And for our last pick, we are going to go with the last guy on our board here, Discovery starting pitcher Steve Valdez. All right, the time has come to view our draft picks from Draft 3. And not as high of potential as I would have liked for a lot of these guys here. Now, that being said, Leslie Shiambi has the exact stats that I'm generally looking for. We are going to want to develop his power. He's got that position flexibility. That is going to make him so much more valuable. He is going to play above his rating, and like I said, that flexibility is huge for me in this type of rebuild. Our scout was definitely not lying to us about Viciano's power. He's also 70 overall, so he's pretty close to the show, but he's going to need to develop the rest of his hitting attributes, especially that vision and discipline. I think the contact, it'll get there eventually. If it gets up into the mid-50s or 60s, I still think he'll be okay. I am glad that I took closing pitcher Michael Rosales there in the fourth round. 90 potential, our highest of the draft. He is 63 overall, a few years away. I do think I'm going to need to adjust his pitch mix a little bit, though, and give him something that moves to his glove side. He needs like a slider or a cutter. Power hitting second baseman Oswaldo Tejera's coming in at 57 overall, 79 potential. It's yet to be seen if he'll be good enough to make the show. If I could do it all over again, I probably would have taken Steven Gonzalez with our first pick. This was the discovery right fielder, if you recall. He probably would end up being a DH because that defense is just not good, but those hitting stats are fantastic. I will say, though, there are some concerns with his durability. At 28, he may not be able to stay on the field. Minor league seasons have just ended, so checking in on our prospects, Hal Nance continues to be really impressive, 2.81 ERA in Double-A. Freddie Triola is closely behind him there with a 2.89. Tim Shepard actually had the best ERA out of all of our pitchers, even though he's the lowest overall at a 2.31. It really is because of that walks per 9, but he's still got a ways to go in developing other stats. And I gave Julian Casilla the call-up from single A. He got a couple starts in there and had a 3.86 ERA, but it was really just to test the waters. Our reliever, Willie Samuel, continues to impress, and he is getting absolutely worked down there. He's the only good pitcher we've got, so he had 114 innings with a 1.5 ERA, whip under 1. Very impressive. Unfortunately, Corey Williams did not play as well as I was hoping in Double A in his first year for being 84 overall, 734 OPS. Honestly, I may need to move him up to Triple A. He might just be too good here. The great news is he's developing extremely well, that vision especially. All of his stats have improved. Julio Mateo got the call up to Double A from Single A, and his first 11 games, he had an 879 OPS, really good. I think this quirk of excelling and hitting at fastballs is certainly helping. Well, we somehow did manage to win 2 games this year. We finished at 2-162, just a mere 104 games behind the Marlins. Now, the rest of these division opponents are farming a lot of wins off of us, and that's making them look a little bit better. And now, simming through the offseason, the Orioles defeat the Braves in the 2027 World Series. You know the drill by now. For this offseason, we're going to hire some new coaches, and then we're going to renew as many contracts as we can for the Joe Randoms. I do continue to just slowly lose them over time due to retirement. It's funny, they are actually developing, and I don't know how this is possible. These guys are 12 overall. I mean, look at these hitting stats, and somehow they're batting like 160. I mean, that is really not that bad for how bad they actually are. We still have quite a few guys that are going to be in Double A, the most notable of which is our project catcher, Miguel Vega-Romas. He's developing well. He's up to 49 overall, but he's still got 2 more seasons before he's going to start playing games. Time has started to pass, and some of our Joe Randoms are now arbitration eligible, so I've offered all these guys contracts with the exception of one. Look at the audacity of 7 overall relief pitcher here. He wants $6 million for 1 year. He had a 14.8 ERA last year. Time for another draft lottery. Let's see how we do. So far, we've been pretty lucky. We've had a couple of first overall picks, and we're going to get another one. I don't know if I believe my eyes here. The Dodgers really are giving contracts out to anybody. 7 overall Joe Random, who was the guy who was asking for $6.5 million from us, just got 7 years, $12 million a year for the Dodgers. After a couple weeks of scouting, Elvis Tejeda looks really good. Have not found a catcher this good. Even though he's ranked 6th, he's not going to be generational, but I feel pretty confident that I want him to be my first pick. Over on the Discovery side, our Discovery scout just found a really promising closing pitcher, which of course is another position of need. Looks very good. To be ranked 31st right out of the gate is promising. He does look maybe a little bit too good to be true, but we'll scout him just to make sure. Meanwhile, on the Discovery side, though, we did just find a potential gem here, first baseman. Not exactly a position we need, but we'll take any good player we can get. Only problem is Davia does look a little bit too good to be true. That's a lot of blue there, but we'll scout him in a little later on, and we'll see how he actually ends up being. Sadly, Hal Nance is struggling a little bit here at AAA, 4.56 ERA. And I'm in no rush to bring him to the show, so I'm going to move him back down to AA, let him continue to improve, and we'll try again maybe later this season or next year. So I've sent him back down to AA, and while I'm here, I'm checking in on Freddie Triola. He's pitching great. Tim Shepard, is doing fantastic. Casilla's all right. Eloy Casado's only okay, 3.51 ERA. And then 58 overall, Steve Valdez has got a 3.12 ERA. As far as our AA hitters, all of them are doing pretty well. Some of them are cold right now, but Leslie Chiambi's been the most impressive. Julio Mateo's got a 685 OPS. I know he's got more in him. And then David Viciano's doing about what I expected. He needs that contact vision, discipline to get a little bit better. I'm also very impressed with his defense. I feel like he doesn't need to be just a first baseman. Down the road, I may move him to, maybe a third base as well. So we're now in week 10 of scouting, and it looks like Clemente Davia is really good. Look at those plate skills. Definitely a good option for us in that second or third round if he falls there. We've seen that Discovery position players don't always fall as far as I think they will. Meanwhile, Junior Meza does indeed look to be an insane closer. At 29th ranked for a closer, that is really, really good. We just won 2 games in the month of June. We are now at our best record yet, 3-87. This was probably the most success I had scouting so far in this video. I really like my board. It's loaded with some good position player options. Number 1, I'm going to take Elvis Tejeda. Just got to get catcher out of the way. I've been kind of worried about it. There may be better options out there on the board, but I feel like Elvis Tejeda is a sure thing as a catcher. Then in the second round, I'm going to take one of these 3 position players, and then we'll round out the draft with either another position player. We've got a discovery second baseman here, Tom Kingman. He ended up being pretty good. That contact is elite. So let's get this draft underway, and with the first choice, we are taking catcher Elvis Tejada. Very excited about Tejada. Just thankful we could finally get a catcher that looks really good. Gonzalez got taken pretty early here, number 18 overall in the first round. So that leaves me between Hanks and Davia. And I just feel like Davia's bat skills are too good to pass up. I know we've already got, I think, 2 first basemen. We could find another spot for him. I'm going with Davia here. Logan Hanks is still on the board here in the third round. Something is pulling me toward Mesa here. We really need closers and relievers. I don't know. I feel like this could end up being a pretty big mistake, but I just want to secure Mesa. He looks like he's going to be an elite closer. Let's go for it. Shortstop Lenny Blunt has fallen all the way here to round 4. I think this is probably our best pick here. He is 20. I don't know. He looks decent, a lot of speed, good fielding. I think we'll go with Lenny Blunt here. Now we need to take some pitchers. I actually forgot about Jeff Karros. I didn't have him on my board initially. That hits per 9 looks elite. I didn't finish scouting him, so it's a little bit risky. He may not be as good as I think, but I want to go with Karros here. And then we'll finish things off with Bo Fernandez. I did finish scouting him. I don't think he's that great. Fairly well-rounded, good velo, 5-pitch mix. We'll go with Fernandez. After more scouting, Elvis Tejada has actually gotten even better. His potential range has gone up a couple. I think it was 78 to 93. It is now 80 to 95. So I am going to offer him a boatload of money. He was only asking for 5.3. I'm going to give him 10, and he still declined it. And one more week later, as this profile continues to get refined, it's gotten even better. Let's try this again. I'm just going to throw everything we've got at him. And there we go, $12 million for Elvis Tejada. Before we go see our new draft picks, let's check in on our current farm system. Both the guys in AAA, Brandon Black and Corey Williams, are both on fire right now. Look at the development from Brandon Black. All that weight room work we've got him doing for training is paying off, adding a lot of power. Everything is developing extremely well, and he's got an 817 OPS. Corey Williams, meanwhile, is also developing pretty well, not super rapidly. He is up to 85 overall, and he's got an 811 OPS. And then our guy, David Viciano, with all that power, he is developing. I've got his training focused on vision, discipline, and clutch, and you can see that that is having an impact here. And he's not exactly getting on base at a super high clip, but he has hit 19 home runs, 754 OPS. He's still a little bit away from the show. I want to get the vision, discipline, clutch, contact up closer to maybe 50 if possible. The defense is already there. The power's already there. Looking forward to when he can finally make his debut. And then our closer, Michael Rosales, is developing extremely well, and he is 27-4 in save opportunities, 2.03 ERA. That is huge. All right, from our current prospects to the next generation, let's take a look at our draft picks. Okay. Elvis Tejada is looking pretty dang good for a catcher. Coming in about right in the middle of his scouted potential. I would have loved to have seen him be, maybe in that low to mid 90s. However, he is 64 overall, which is massive. That means he's probably 1 year, maybe 2 years away from the show. And I would say he's a good gauge of our timeline. Clemente Davia is as advertised, 69 overall, 83 potential. Look at those hitting stats. He may have to be a DH, which is fine. We should have room for that. But yeah, he's going to crush lefties. Hopefully he can develop his skills versus righties a little bit as well. I am very glad that I picked Junior Mesa, the closer. He's already 79 overall, so he is essentially MLB ready. I'm glad to see that his clutch is pretty good. That's one of those things that you can't scout for. I think I mentioned that earlier in this video. So it's always, a bit of a surprise when you open up a guy's profile and he's got like 25 clutch. But that's not the case with Mesa. Looking around the league here, I'm pretty sure it was Logan Hanks. That was the other right fielder we were looking at, and he does have higher potential, 94 potential. He is 60 overall, so he's a little ways away from the show. Kind of feel like I missed out there. And I see now why Armory Gonzalez went so early. He is the highest potential in this class at 98. This was the power hitting right fielder. There was no way I could have got him because I just needed to get a catcher in the system here. But we're going to need to keep our eye on Armory Gonzalez. He's going to be a great player. Overall, though, really happy with how that draft went, so let's go ahead and sim to the end of this season. And we finish out the season with our best win total yet, 6-156. Simming through the playoffs, and the Mariners defeat the Dodgers in the 2028 World Series. And we are going to need to hire a manager and first base coach. This is the last two positions that we need to fill. You can see the contracts that I have for the other guys. I hired some long-term pieces of our coaching staff who are really good. We'll add the manager and the first base coach. And we are not too far away from fielding the roster. So I thought about it a little bit. I'm tempted to bring Corey Williams up to the MLB, but honestly, I want him to become a Rookie of the Year. And a big part of that is RBIs. And if he's going to be on a roster full of Joe Randoms, that's not going to help him out a whole lot. So I think I'm going to hold off one more year on Corey here. And when we bring up a bunch of guys next year, he'll be a part of that. One more draft lottery simulation here. We're honestly kind of due to get super unlucky. And we get a little bit unlucky. We go down to the 4th pick, still just fine. So for this upcoming season, I have put everybody that I think is about ready for AAA into AAA. And you can see that we've almost got a complete roster here. And the same thing can kind of be said about our pitching rotation here. I still think we're a little ways away, but at least Hal Nance should be ready to go. He's improved a bunch. Freddie Triola's right there behind him. And the bullpen is still a little bit bare. Willie Samuel's here, who's been here since day one for us. He's going to be in the middle relief role. Again, not super comfortable with him in high leverage situations with the low clutch. I'm going to have Michael Rosales here in setup. He also has kind of low clutch, but I still think he'll be okay. And then our stud closer from the last draft, Junior Meza, immediately joins our club and is closing in AAA from day one. And then if I flip over to AA, we've got 4 more guys here that have just got into the 60s who might be ready for AAA next year. So the time has flown by, but let's get into Season 5, 2029. Let's take a break from all this drafting and scouting. My head does hurt a little bit from it all. And let's sit back and relax and watch our AAA team, which is full almost of all of these prospects that we've gotten so far. And let's see what they could do here on opening day for AAA. Hal Nance is still our best pitching prospect. He will be taking the mound. First batter of the day, full count. Nance delivers. And strike 3. Beautiful changeup. We got to see that strikeout, but unfortunately, a few batters later, Nance gives up a 2-run shot. So let's go see if our lineup can make a comeback here. We are facing a 79 overall pitcher in AAA. Leading off today is Leslie Shambi. Because of that contact vision, discipline, and clutch, as well as some decent speed, I feel like he'd be a pretty good leadoff hitter. 1-2 pitch from Lesko. And Shambi with Hadouken into left to start the game. He used all 25 power that he has and sent that right over the left field wall. Batting second will be Brandon Black, and he is basically a better version of Shambi, just more contact, more power, even better vision and discipline. And as a reminder, this was the first guy that we got in this entire rebuild as Black chips one down the left field line there, and that'll be a single. And Corey has worked a very long at-bat, fouling off a lot of pitches. This is the 10th pitch of the at-bat, and he draws a walk. Very good at-bat there. And our cleanup hitter will be Clemente Davila, who we just drafted in 2028. He's not as good against righties, but he's going to be very good against lefties. Let's see what he can do here with 2 runners on. 1-2 pitch from Lesko. I actually forgot that Brandon Black is a switch hitter. He's from the left side today facing the righty. 2 runners on here, 2 outs. Bottom of the second, he gets a fastball right down the middle, drills that into left field. That'll tie the ball game. Here's Xiaomi with a runner in scoring position. And he gets a hanging breaking ball up in the zone. Throw to the plate is not in time, and that is 2 RBIs today for Xiaomi. Willie Samuel comes in to work the 7th, and he gives up a run but gets out of it. And now Michael Rosales, our closer from 2 years ago, gives up a solo shot. It's a tie ball game. And he continues to struggle here, so we're bringing in a Joe Random who gives up a 3-run shot. First professional hit here for our young catcher Tejeda with a double in the bottom of the 8th. But now that we're down 3, Joe Random is going to stay in. He gives up another run, and that is just about going to do it for us. And after a week of scouting, it looks like Lance Courtney is in fact the best player in the class, so I kind of doubt that we'd be able to get him. If we can, I would definitely like to pick him with our first pick. Jose Ojeda also looks really good, stayed at number 3 overall. We've also found a couple of really good central starting pitchers. This looked like the better region to start with this time around, and we got lucky. A couple discovery guys could be fantastic, Reynolds or LeBlanc. But the good news is we discovered a really good looking left fielder here, Roger Bermudez. Let's scout him next. And after a week, Bermudez has moved up the board quite a bit, up to number 10. Because he's a discovery guy, this could be a great choice for us. And our 2 discovery pitchers that we found, Blake Reynolds, he has moved up the board a ton. He looks fantastic. And Chad LeBlanc has also moved up the board a lot, so hopefully we can get either one of those guys in maybe the second or third round. It looks like there's an absolute elite closer here, Rick Combs, but he would have to be taken in the first round most likely, and I'm not willing to do that, so we'll have to try to find some guys later on that we might be able to take. Taking a bit of a slide backwards here this year, we've got 0 wins so far through June. Wanted to take a sec here to check in on our prospects, and the first thing I see is that Corey Williams is at 90 overall. It looks like another year in AAA has not stunted his growth. I mean, this is a video game, but I actually do feel kind of bad that I've kept him down here. This guy deserves to be in the show, but this is going to make his chances, dare I say, pretty much guaranteed at becoming the Rookie of the Year unless he gets hurt. But he's almost got a 1. OPS here in AAA. A little bummed with David Viciano. I mean, it's not a surprise given that really he's only got power right now. But he's got a 588 OPS. He just doesn't seem to be able to make enough solid contact, and I really need his stats to develop a little bit more. However, I am extremely impressed with Elvis Tejada, 855 OPS at 67 overall, and you can just see the difference between his stats and Viciano's and why he's able to be successful. And I'm also just now noticing that Tejada is a switch hitter. Absolute stud catcher. So glad that we got him. Probably the most disappointing guy, maybe out of everybody that I've talked about so far, is Junior Meza. He's 80 overall closer. The stats look pretty good, but he's got a 6.75 ERA. He's 15-5 in his save opportunities. Really hope he can turn this around. So as the year goes on, I'm getting both more and a little bit less confident about the squad, but we do need to bring at least half of our roster, or half of those guys from AAA, up into MLB next year. Just get them going. Try to get a Rookie of the Year. We'll see what we can do. Absolutely just zero luck at finding any gem closers that can start pretty soon. I mean, if you look at it, Roderick probably could, but I guess he's just not good enough to show up on the board, unfortunately. I did find a decent shortstop who might be able to start pretty soon here, Roosevelt Macias, and he's exactly what I would have been looking for, can play all the infield positions. It's just going to be tough when the decision comes down to it, whether I take him or if I end up getting more enticed by a higher potential prospect. Heading into the week of the MLB draft, and we get our first win of the year, 1-92. All right, so for the 5th MLB draft of this video, I'm between Courtney and Ojeda for our 4th pick, and I'm hoping that one of them falls. There were a couple good pitchers at the top of the board, so hopefully one of the White Sox, Angels, or Blue Jays takes one of them, and then Lance Courtney would be my number 1 choice. Jose Ojeda would be my backup choice, second baseman, third baseman, really good hitting stats. In round 2, it's been a little bit since I've taken a really good pitcher, so I will take the better of Blake Reynolds or Chad LeBlanc, whichever one is in there. They both look fantastic. Ideally, we could get Roger Bermudez in round 3, but being a really good discovery position player, I don't know if we will. For the second pick, Jose Ojeda's off the board. So for pick number 3, Lance Courtney's off the board. So that throws a wrench into things here, and I think my best bet is to go with starter Blake Reynolds. I really don't like taking a discovery starter first overall, but I just don't see any better options, and I think he is going to be a great player. Now into the second round, Chad LeBlanc is still here, but we got our pitcher, so I will maybe take him in the next round if he's still there. I want to go with Roger Bermudez here. Again, it's another discovery guy. I thought I scouted a little bit better than maybe I did, but I still feel good about Bermudez. Let's get him on the squad. And as I had hoped for, Chad LeBlanc is here in round 3. I don't want to get like too many pitchers on our squad. We need position players, but he looks too good to pass up. And now we start to get into the guys that I'm hoping have a little bit higher overall here. Roosevelt Macias may not, but I do like his infield positional flexibility. The contact looks fantastic. Let's go with Macias here. Same thought process here in our next round. Edgar Gutierrez, hoping he has a high floor. At the very worst, he at least has good defense and speed. And for our final pick, we've got Joe Mercado. And again, same thought process. I'm hoping that Mercado can start for us, hopefully next year. So that is going to round out the draft. That was a bit of a weird one, to be honest, and it didn't go our way right off the bat, but I guess we'll see how we did. All right, I'm not sure how to feel going into our 5th draft here. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off and view our draft picks. Okay. Wow, Blake Reynolds coming in at 71 overall, 89 potential. I mean, I want to give him a year in the minors, but he could potentially start next year. He's going to be great someday. Very happy to see that Roger Bermudez is not a bust or anywhere close to it. He's even already at 68 overall. Defense in the outfield is pretty bad, though, but his hitting stats are so good. So let's go ahead and speed through the rest of the season because I am so excited to finally start playing some actual games and watching the team that we've put together. It's not going to be a full roster yet next year, but at least we can get some guys up there. And we take a step back this year, finishing the season 1-161. This number's about to get a little bit better starting next year. The Dodgers go ahead and defeat the Royals in the 2029 World Series. Garrett Cole and Freddie Freeman are 2029 Hall of Fame inductees. And we do not need to worry about any staff this year. I've slowly been acquiring these guys over this rebuild. I just need to get through this offseason and get our roster ready to go. Another draft lottery starting in the number 1 position. And we move down to 4. Well, this is a decent sign. We have won 3 games here in spring training. And those 3 wins are almost certainly due to the fact that we are debuting the first set of players that we have drafted. Brandon Black is going to bat leadoff this year and play center field. Clemente Devilla comes in to DH, but only against lefties. And then the man himself, 92 overall, Corey Williams, who had a phenomenal spring training, if I do say. He was batting like 350 with 7 or 8 homers. He is making his MLB debut finally, and he is on Rookie of the Year watch. And lastly, kind of a surprise, 70 overall catcher Elvis Tejeda will make his debut. The defense isn't great, but the hitting stats are good enough, so at just 19 years old, he will be on the Major League roster. We've also got a few guys on the pitching side. Hal Nance is going to come in as our ace this year. Willie Samuel is going to come in for middle relief. And Michael Rosales is going to be our closer. For the first time in this video, we are watching Major League Baseball. On opening day, Elly De La Cruz leads off for the Phillies, and Hal Nance, our new ace, takes the mound. Good test for Nance right out of the gate here. And he strikes out Cruz. Doesn't get any easier, though. He's now facing Trey Turner. Here's the 1-2. And he struck him out. And now to finish off the gauntlet here, he faces former National James Wood. If you recall back to the very beginning of this video, I released all the good players that were on the Nationals for anyone to pick up. And James Wood was certainly one of those, but he lines out into the right. It's a clean frame for Nance. So let's see if Corey Williams, finally making his MLB debut, can get a hit off a scuba. Worked a good count here, 3-1 pitch, and that is drilled into the gap in left center field. Corey Williams opens up his MLB career with a double in the gap. Nance in a tough spot here in the top of the second. Bases loaded, 2 outs, the full count pitch. And that's strike 3. Now batting is 19-year-old catcher Elvis Tejeda. He's had a good at-bat here, seen a lot of pitches. Here's another 3-2. And he draws a walk. This is exactly how I had this lineup drawn up. Get the 9-hole hitter on base, and then you bring up our 1-2-3. And Brandon Black, diving play by Cruz. That could be 2, and it's not. Safe at first. This is definitely about as good of an opportunity as we will get to score with the meat of our order up. Runner's going to go for second, and he's out. Oh, I thought he was in there. Hal Nance gives up his first runs in the major leagues in the 4th here. Joe Random comes in relief and has 2 scoreless innings. And now Black with a solo shot, his first career homer. It's 2-1. And Davila hit a single, so the go-ahead run is at the plate in Corey Williams. And Williams gets a pitch to hit. Hits that up the right side, but it curls foul. So here's the 1-2 now, and he strikes out. Top of the 7th, Willie Samuel comes in and immediately gives up a solo shot. A nice triple from Williams there, but we now trail 4-1, and we end up losing 4-1. Really solid debut there from Corey Williams with 2 hits, including a double and a triple. We end up getting our first victory here much earlier than usual. April 1st, we get our first win. And we pick up our second win just about a week after the first. Corey Williams is off to a pretty solid start in the MLB through 14 games, 834 OPS. Brandon Black's been an on-base machine, 375 on-base percentage. But Hal Nance has struggled through his first 3 starts. He's got a 9 ERA. I got to keep my eyes on him because if he struggles, there's no reason not to send him back down to AAA. Willie Samuel's been good in the bullpen so far. And so has Michael Rosales, has not given up a run yet through 5 innings. But in just the second week here, we did discover a very good-looking relief pitcher here, Lincoln Donovan. And I think what I like most about him is that he's left-handed. Besides being high up on the board here, 41 for a reliever is really strong. Hal Nance does continue to struggle here a bit through his first 7 games. I'm going to let it ride out just a little bit further and see if he can have any decent games. But if not, I'm going to send him back down. There's no point of ruining this rebuild by bringing guys up too early. However, Michael Rosales is still pitching well. He does have a 1.34 whip, which is a little bit higher than a 1.86 ERA. I do feel confident we'll be able to get one of either Harper or Keller with the 4th pick. Usually some pitchers end up going off the board early, so let's start looking a little later in the class and see if we can find some good 2nd and 3rd round options. Meanwhile, we picked up our 3rd victory of the year here, 8-7 win over Cincinnati. And honestly, the Joe Randoms did a lot of the work here, but Brandon Black did have 2 RBIs, double for Corey Williams, and then another save down there for Michael Rosales. He's 3 for 3. Over in AAA, several of our prospects are impressing. Roosevelt Macias has a 799 OPS. Leslie Chiambi is developing very well. Look at that contact and power. Roger Bermudez has been just okay. Same with Julio Mateo. Lenny Blunt's also struggling a little bit, but he's a ways away, just 62 overall. I think I'm most impressed with David Viciano, 958 OPS so far. He's actually getting on base at a pretty high clip. Really want to see him continue to improve. He's one of our more interesting bats. I'm just worried about the contact. And our AAA rotation is looking very good. 3.22 ERA, 4.15 is a little high for Blake Reynolds, but it's his first year in the system. 3.04 for Tim Shepard, 3.93 for Karros here, and then a 3.62 for Calzado. So some promising arms coming up. Meanwhile, Junior Mesa just continues to struggle here. He's 10-2 in his save opportunities. That's not terrible, but it seems like when things go bad, they go really, really bad. 6.08 ERA. He strikes out a ton of guys. Super interesting build. I just think he's got to improve quite a bit. I think he's like 88 or 89 potential. Maybe when he gets closer to that, he'll be a little more viable. And I'm going to do something that I rarely do here, which is I'm actually going to scout the relief pitcher central position. We discovered a couple of decent guys there, and I mentioned it before. We really need some bullpen arms. I also just doubled back here to check my scouts, and I found Will Parson. He looks like a better position player scout than Hayden Coe. The efficiency is above 90, but his accuracy is way better. I wish I found this guy earlier, but let's get him in and have him take over for the last guy. And we're going to start him off by looking at a couple of center fielders here who might be good second-round options. I'm still looking for that good defensive center fielder. I think between the two, Enriquez looks a little bit better on that side of things, but Brady has a little bit better bat skills. Carlos Enriquez looks decent. He didn't jump up the board a ton. Would be a project center fielder. I am finding that it's pretty common around the 40 to 50 ranking. You do tend to find some gems here. And meanwhile, on the Discovery, we're looking for closers and relievers here, and we just found Mike Tumolo. Might be too good to be true, but best case scenario is he's close to MLB ready. And it looks like Lincoln Donovan is very good as well. There's a few other relievers who have moved up the board a bit, but nobody as great as those guys. Ken Pennick is a good option. He's also got a ton of stamina. So let's switch to scouting some individual guys now. We'll start with Mike Tumolo here with our pitcher scout. Hal Nance has had a few good games here recently. 5 innings pitched each time, giving up 0 runs, 3 runs here, but then just 1 run here. So I'm going to let him go for a little bit longer. He's at a 6 ERA right now. Let's see if he can keep bringing that down. And meanwhile, Mike Tumolo does look really good, and this is exactly what we need. I think he could just start in the majors next year. Corey Williams is continuing to develop nicely with the exception of his power. He is still slugging close to 500. 830 OPS I think is on the low end of really what he's capable of. I feel like he could get over 900 pretty easily, but still a decent start to his first year. And looking over at the awards, he is not currently here for Rookie of the Year, but if you compare him to the guys he's going up against, I'm pretty confident if we give him the full season, he'll make his way onto this leaderboard. I'm super impressed with Elvis Tejeda at 19 years old, just 71 overall. He's acclimating very well into the majors, 766 OPS, almost 2 WAR already. Really impressed. And then our lefty killer, Clemente de Villas, not doing so great. He's also only 19, but I think he's going to get a lot better, and he's improving nicely. Just a couple weeks from the MLB draft, and Corey Williams has really started to turn it on here. 965 OPS. And just as I expected, Corey Williams is now the front runner for Rookie of the Year, but Brandon Black is also on here. He is having a pretty solid season offensively. However, his WAR is basically flat. I think I need to take him out of center field. So we'll let one of the Joe Randoms take over center field, and let me move Brandon Black back to left, and hopefully that'll help him develop a little better. Also, Hal Nance has really started to decrease his ERA. He's down to 5.15 now. He's had some very good games in here as of late. I think I'm going to keep him up. Our biggest standout in AAA is Leslie Chiambi. Look at that development to his contact. Leslie can come up next year and be a very effective MLB player, and he's also a Swiss Army knife. Plays a bunch of positions. I could potentially play him at short. I'm just a little bit worried that his arm and accuracy is not going to be good enough for the position. Also very happy with David Viciano's development. Yes, it's mostly focused on righties, but with that contact now over 50, more development on the vision and discipline, feeling pretty confident that Viciano can make it in the majors. And last guy to update on before the MLB draft is Junior Mesa. We know about his maxed out Ks per nine, but the other attributes are starting to improve, and he's doing well. 24-2 in save opportunities. Very promising. Okay, I think this is draft number 6 of this video, and we are on the cusp of transitioning away from focusing a ton on scouting and drafting to starting to watch some more games. But for now, we've got one more draft to take care of, and I think my number one choice here is Josh Harper. Looks to be an MLB ready or close to MLB ready outfielder. Talked about him already. Pretty much exactly what I'm looking for. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets picked before us, so I've got a couple backup options here in DeAndre Dwyer and Mitch Keller. If somehow all 3 of these guys get taken before us, which I think is very unlikely, I could go for this pitcher, Buddy Queen, a lefty. Looks like he has great hits per 9 and walks per 9. And then after that, we are going to clean house on closers and relievers. Mike Tumolo looks like an absolute stud. Lincoln Donovan similarly, and he's also left-handed. Johnny Blanco here looks like a great option too, and he's a lefty. And then we also have a project shortstop here that I found who can play pretty much any position. Swiss Army knife, probably going to come in super low overall like that catcher we took in the first or second year, and he's going to take a long time to develop, but would be a good piece. So let's see where the chips fall here with the number 1 pick. Josh Harper is gone. And now Mitch Keller is also gone. And with the 3rd pick, it's a first baseman. Well, it's a really tough call here between Queen and Dwyer now, but there is a chance that Dwyer could fall to the next round. It's kind of slim, but I think I'm willing to risk it because Buddy Queen looks fantastic, and there's no way that he is going to fall to the next round. So I'm going to go with Buddy Queen here. And unfortunately, Dwyer did not fall. He actually was taken at the 11th pick, so we missed out on him. I really wish we could have got Josh Harper, but I guess the next best thing we can do is just get one of these center fielders just to bring him in the system. They look really similar, honestly, but I'm going to go with Carlos Enriquez. And Clayton Brady got taken right after us. So it's time to start going to town here on the bullpen, and I want to start with Mike Tumolo. He's my favorite option out of all of them. And in the next round, it is time to take Lincoln Donovan here. Johnny Blanco is still here for round 5, so let's take him. Pick 168, let's take this project position player, Swiss Army knife, Michael Odom. Well, that's it for the draft. We did not get the guy we wanted at the top of the board. I think we did okay. That's why you always need to build backup plans, and I guess we'll see how we did here in a couple weeks. And just to fill out the roster so I don't have to sign as many relief pitchers because you need 15 on your team, I'll probably turn 1 or 2 of these closers into relievers. Corey Williams in his rookie season is already the best second baseman in the league. He will be the all-star representative for the National League. And he is just really hitting his stride now. 997 OPS, absolute stud. All right, all our 2030 draft picks have been signed. Let's see how we did. All right, not too bad. A lot of mid-B potential here. Nobody in the C potential. I think that's the first time we haven't had any sort of duds. Buddy Queen looks pretty solid. That hits per 9 and walks per 9 is going to make him very good. He's not too far from the show either at 69 overall. I think I'm a little bit bummed about Carlos Enriquez, mostly because we weren't able to get the left fielder, I forget his name, that I really liked at the top of the board. Enriquez has got a long way to go before he makes it to the show. The good news is that Mike Tremolo will be ready for Major League Baseball right away. He's 79 overall, 21 years old. The clutch is going to need some work, but he should be a good arm for us in the pen. Almost the same thing can be said about Lincoln Donovan, although that Ks per 9 and walks per 9 is pretty concerning. Ultimately, I think Johnny Blanco will end up being better than Lincoln Donovan. Blanco's got more well-rounded stats here, also left-handed as well. And then our project shortstop ended up being pretty solid, 88 potential. He is 47 overall, so long ways to go. But maybe in 5 years, 6 years, if we still are doing this rebuild, he'll be there for us. Before I sim through the rest of this season, I figured this would be a good opportunity to just sign Corey Williams for the rest of this video, 10 years at $22 million a year. We will have him for this entire rebuild. He's going to be the cornerstone player for us, and I'm thinking about doing the same thing for Brandon Black, but let's let him get a little bit better first. And also one more thing, again, before we sim through the rest of this season, just want to mention Hal Nance got his first MLB victory, and he has brought his ERA down all the way to 4.71. He's really started to figure things out after a rough start in the bigs. Looking ahead to next season, one of the positions we're going to need is shortstop. And just taking a look at David Viciano, he is the best defensive infielder that we have, and he has improved a ton in AAA. I think it's fair to make him our shortstop. I know that he didn't come out of the box as a shortstop, but just looking at those stats, that is way too good for first or third base. So I'm going to edit him and add a secondary position of shortstop. So there he is, David Viciano, and next year he'll probably be in like the 5th hole or so with all that power, and then he'll be our starting shortstop. And several other guys up here are also going to get the call-up. I will save that for a little bit when we get into the next season. Well, we set a new high watermark for ourselves, 10 and 152 this season, and probably about 5 or 6 of those wins are attributed to Corey Williams just by himself. And if we take a look at the awards here, Corey Williams is in fact the NL Rookie of the Year, so we should get an extra draft pick. Someday soon, he will probably be fighting for this MVP race as well, but for now, we are more than happy with a Rookie of the Year. Brandon Black improved everything except his contact. His contact was already really high, so I'm okay with that. He did not have as good of a season as I really hoped. 712 OPS, dead even on WAR. Clemente Devilla developed nicely. I do think I need to keep him as our DH just because his defense is pretty bad. But despite the good development, he was a negative WAR player, so honestly, he might start on the bench for us next year. But besides Corey Williams, our most impressive player was the 19-year-old catcher Elvis Tejeda. He is probably next in line for a long extension. I would imagine next year we're probably not going to find a better catcher unless we somehow find a generational one, but he racked up 3 WAR this season, and he's still got a ton of room for growth. Over in the rotation, Hal Nance finished the year not too great. He was actually getting closer to a 4 ERA, but finished at a 4.97. The Rangers defeat the Dodgers in the 2030 World Series. I can't believe we're already heading into 2031. It is time to make a bunch of call-ups, and we're going to start with starting pitcher Freddie Triola. He will join Hal Nance in our rotation for next year, so let's add him to the 40-man roster, and we will move him to the MLB. Closing pitcher Junior Mesa is also going to come up, and he will join Michael Rosales in the bullpen. Power hitting first baseman David Viciano is going to get the call-up next. And as I'm doing this, I just noticed that one of our not-too-great prospects, Oswaldo Tejera, I don't know if I've ever seen one stat improve this much in a year. His power versus lefties went up 14. But he is definitely not ready for the show just yet. However, Leslie Shiambi most definitely is. I'm not sure where we're going to play him yet. Probably somewhere in the outfield, maybe third base. But with that contact, he is ready to go. And it might be a little bit surprising, but the last guy I think I'm going to call up for now is actually Julian Casilla. I think he could be a decent long relief pitcher. And he also doesn't have super high potential. He's a 23 years old currently as well. I don't think he's going to be like a key piece of our pitching, of our starting rotation. So I am comfortable getting him in the bullpen. And here's a look at what our lineup could look like for next year. We are now 6 out of 9 being players that we drafted, 3 Joe Randoms left. And my plan is for the year after next to have a full roster ready. We might see another Joe Random get signed to a big contract at free agency. I guess they order the free agents by potential, and all the Joe Randoms had 99 potential. So even though this closer here is 10 overall, I would not be surprised if he got an absolutely massive contract. You know what time it is, draft lottery. And I think we probably will be the #1 ranked option for the draft lottery for at least one more year. I think we're maybe going to win 20 to 30 games next year. And we got the 3rd pick. Okay, not too bad. There it is. The Orioles have signed Joe Random $19 million a year for 6 years. Absurd. They got to fix this. We're finishing out spring training here, and if you look in the top left, we actually won 11 games. Now, the full roster comes up for spring training because some of the guys that I don't have in the MLB also were playing, but I think this is a good sign. Things are starting to turn. All right, offseason complete, and I ended up bringing up a couple other guys based on how they did during spring training. So in the lineup, we are actually 7 out of 9 players we've drafted, just 2 Joe Randoms remaining, and the other guy that I brought up here is right fielder Julio Mateo. He's 23 years old. He was part of our first draft of this entire video, and I think he's ready. I think he's ready for it. He's also got the quirk of excelling at hitting fastballs, which I think will help him out, and he's going to come in and play right field. I've gone over the rest of these guys. Here's the lineup. Very interested to see what David Viciano can do in the bigs. Obviously, the power is elite. I don't think the contact and the other hitting stats are there yet. I've mentioned it before. He's going to come in and play shortstop for us with that elite defense. Corey Williams will honestly potentially be an MVP candidate. We'll have to see what he can do this year. And then I decided to bring up one more pitcher, Tim Shepard, and he's also from our first draft pick. So I ended up having to add him to the 40-man anyway. And honestly, after looking at him, with that elite walks per 9, I think he could be a decent pitcher. He's got good stamina. He could eat some innings for us. He's definitely nowhere near his ceiling just yet. But I feel like Tim Shepard will be okay. Now, Julian Casilla is another starter that I brought up. I mentioned before, I've got him in long relief. I just feel like I'm going to convert him into reliever. The only thing is that it brings down his overall quite a bit, and I don't want to do that to him right now. Now, with this roster, my prediction this year is that we're going to win somewhere between like 35 and 40 games, so we'll still have a good chance at one more very high draft pick before I think next year will be kind of middle of the pack, maybe like the 20th ranked team or so. So that is how we are looking. We are finally going to start playing somewhat of real baseball here, and I will jump in and see a few games. If there's any highlight moments or, milestones for any of our players, we'll definitely take a look at that. We do have more scouting and drafting to focus on for this season, but we're gradually transitioning into really focusing on the team, and I think for next year, we should have a full roster. Opening day baseball, we're facing the Dodgers. Dodgers won 112 games last year. We lost about 150, and we're going to be facing the Cy Young winner, Roki Sasaki. So tough matchup for our starter, Hal Nance. Brandon Black leading off for us once again, and he hits a homer! Oh, that was smoked! What a start to the year! Last year's Rookie of the Year, Corey Williams, taking his first at-bat this year, and he strikes out. Now we've got the first at-bat in the bigs for power-hitting first baseman Viciano. 1-2 pitch, and he strikes out. That might be a little bit of an issue for him. Our ace, Hal Nance, has to face Shohei Ohtani to open up the year. He's got him in a full count here, and he strikes him out. Beautiful changeup. I think that's his best pitch. Oneil Cruz then ties it up in the second with a solo shot. But Hal Nance has been able to keep things pretty close here. Top of the order up here in the sixth, and Brandon Black lines a base hit up the middle, his second hit of the day. That'll bring up Leslie Siambi now. 1-2 pitch, and he strikes out. Here's Corey Williams now. Good opportunity, gets a fastball down the middle, hits that way back to center, to the wall, and it is caught on the track. Now it's up to Viciano here. 1-2 pitch from Sasaki, and that's on the corner. Strike three. This Dodgers team is absolutely stacked. They added Kyle Tucker and Royce Lewis, Oneil Cruz, Matt Olson. And Willie Samuel has come in relief, and he works a clean seventh. And now after a leadoff triple from Black, his third hit of the day, the go-ahead run is on third base. Great opportunity for us to take the lead here, but that's strike three. Michael Rosales has come in relief, and Shohei Ohtani swinging on the 3-2 pitch, drills that out into right, and the Dodgers take a 2-1 lead. That's just superstars being superstars there. Rosales does end up getting out of it, though. So we're down one heading into the ninth, and who else would it be but three-time reliever of the year and absolute stud closer Mason Miller coming in. If anybody can get on base on Miller, it is Corey Williams, and he leads off, but he grounds out to first. Maybe Viciano can get into one here, but he pops out. So it's up to Davia now. 2-2 pitch from Miller, and that's strike three. So we lose 2-1 on opening day, but honestly, that was a pretty solid showing from the team there. Only one run loss to the Dodgers, held them to only 2 runs. Not bad, just need a little bit more offense. They would end up sweeping us, however. My expectations were low for that series. The Dodgers were the best team in the league last year. We do, however, end up getting the first series victory of this entire video against Colorado. 5-0 win, 5-1 win, and look at Hal Nance up there in the top left. Through his first 2 starts of the year, .73 ERA. This draft class is loaded with pitchers at the top. We do have one good first baseman up here, but that's just not a position that I really need, so I don't want to focus too much on Leo Sanguian here. I want to look at some of these outfielders. All these guys look pretty good. The first guy I've got on the board is actually a catcher, though. Kenny Landrum's great. We're going to need a second good catcher at some point here. But then as we get a little bit deeper in the class, you get through the rest of those pitchers, and kind of around the 12th, 13th mark, there are some very, very promising prospects. This is a third baseman, another position that we don't really need, but Soriano looks fantastic. I definitely want to scout him just for those plate skills alone. And we did get an extra draft pick. And we did get an extra draft pick this year at number 31. So we got a compensatory pick for our Rookie of the Year, which is huge. That's going to give us an opportunity to maybe get one of these guys around the 30 mark. A couple good options there. A lot of pitchers, though, but then we get back to some more position players. There are some absolute stud closers towards the top as well, which I'm happy to convert to relievers. Maybe we could take one of these for that 31st or 41st pick. Just had by far our best week of baseball. We won 4 out of our 6 games, including a sweep of the Mets. We put up 14 runs here in the last game of this series, and let's see how we managed to do that. 16 hits, 14 RBIs, obviously. Looking at the averages over on the right, the top 3 guys are doing very well. Elvis Tejada, our catcher's doing great. I guess the CPU moved him up in the order a little bit. As far as the guys at the top of the board, Salvatore Soriano looks like the best bet so far. Very well-rounded third baseman, can also play left. And then Kenny Landrum also looks pretty good, as well as Sammy Fernandez. So we've got 3 decent options. We're about 60 games into the season so far. I think we've won 17. I'm just taking a look at the squad. Hal Nance has been pretty good. Triola's not been that great, but I want to let him ride. I think I may need to send Tim Shepard down, though. Just struggling, 6.51 ERA. Junior Mesa has been phenomenal. He's actually gone up in potential. That's how good he's been, 13-1 in his saves. But Michael Rosales has also been struggling, so I may send him down as well. I haven't decided yet if I want to just leave him up. Most of the guys in our lineup have been pretty good. Julio Mateo so far has been the worst. He's only got a 556 OPS. And I'm pleasantly surprised with David Viciano. His contact has continued to improve. Both are over 50 now, which is fantastic. And he's got a 768 OPS. I was worried it would be like in the 600s and that he wouldn't be getting on base at all, but he's doing fine. And several weeks later, Tim Shepard has continued to struggle, so I am going to go ahead and send him down. Meanwhile, though, Michael Rosales has seemed to turn things around. He's got his ERA down to 4.17. I think he can do better than that, but just glad to see him making improvements. Corey Williams has developed extremely well this year, especially on his discipline, which is a very important stat. His average is a little bit low, but the on-base percentage is fantastic, so he's walking a lot. Slugging's pretty good. Happy to see him getting better. He's up to 98 overall already at 22. Heading into the MLB draft, my favorite choice would be Salvatore Soriano. He's a #1 ranked player, extremely good plate skills, third base and left fielder, well-rounded on the defensive side as well. He did move up to #1, and we've got the #3 pick, so there's a good chance that he will be taken. Several very good closer options here. So Nick Story looks fantastic. Rich Hamlin looks maybe even better. Let me move him up. And then Johnny Sasaki also looks really good. I've got another gem first baseman here, Richard Chen, with great contact. I actually scouted him in the last week, so I didn't get to finish his profile. I think he's probably even better than this. Then we have a discovery first baseman who also looks like a gem. At least he's got good contact vision and discipline. He's maybe more of a DH profile. So as I start this draft here, I am just crossing my fingers that we don't see Salvatore Soriano go up the board. Okay, Kenny Landrum goes 1-1. And then with the second pick, it's going to be Thomas Brady. Finally, things go our way. I feel like it hasn't gone our way in a while. So with the first round pick, I will be taking Salvatore Soriano. Really, really happy that we could get him on the squad. So I'm actually going to go for our best closer on the board here with the pick number 31. Now he is ranked 24. I don't normally take closers this early, but this is really what we need. Looks like Richard Chen was also really good too. He got taken 40th overall. So we got our first round pick, but we're getting a little bit unlucky on some of these later round guys that I really liked. And I look through everybody again. I'm not ready to jump to Rex Vaughn just yet. Maybe he'll be there in the next round. So I'm actually going to go for another closer, Nick Story. And I think he's a prime candidate to move to a reliever so we can fill out that position a little bit more. Now for pick 78, Rex Vaughn is still here. Let's go back for another position player here. Pick 108, Sasaki, Durbin, and Lee are left on the board still. I think I'm going to go with Durbin. I just like the contact, plate skills. Let's get him. And unfortunately, Sasaki did go. So that leaves Brian Lee left for my next pick. So my board is completely empty, but I'm looking here, and I actually managed to discover one more closer in the last week, that I didn't even notice. I have no better options here than Sherwood Yancey. He could be a total bust, but this is just our best bet to finish out the draft. Good news on the position player side, though. We've got two guys in great position to win Rookie of the Year. David Viciano, actually, I wouldn't have picked him to be that guy, but he is #1 right now. I think the homers and the RBIs are really carrying him. When I sent down our other starter, I actually decided to just move Julian Casilla into the starting role, and he has been fantastic. He started 5 games. His ERA's actually gotten even better than when he was in the reliever role, 2.77. We are jumping into a game here because Freddie Triola has a complete game shutout on the line. And he gets the first batter, Jace Young, to ground out to second base. He is only at 69 pitches so far, which is really impressive. That just shows you the value. He doesn't need to strike a lot of guys out. When you're not walking guys or giving up many hits, you keep your pitch count down, you eat innings. Very valuable. I think this is why those are such broken stats for these guys. I also really like his pitch mix. He's got everything you need as a starter. The home runs per 9 in the clutch are low, but he's still developing as a player. He's only 22, but having that fastball and the cutter gives him a couple good options. Slider, changeup, just really solid. Here's a 2-2 pitch, and that's strike 3, 2 down. He's got to face Xavier Edwards now, who I love in this game. I always get him in a lot of my rebuilds because he's got insane stats. This is like the model of a type of hitter that you want. Now he plays really bad defense, but he's got the speed, and then just look at those contact vision, discipline, and clutch stats. Very, very good. Triola has him down 0-2 here, though. Pretty tough matchup to close things out. Here's the pitch. And that's strike three looking. Complete game shutout for Triola. Signature victory. All right, time to view our draft picks of 2031. I guess this is the 7th draft already, and Soriano is generational. Oh my, I am over the moon here. That is 2 generational players that we are going to have on our team. I guess I could probably just start him next year. I mean, I don't know if that would be a bad idea, but we're going to be ramping up to next year. I don't know, but wow, okay. I mean, the rest of the guys probably wouldn't even matter that much, but it looks like we nailed our 2 closers here as well. Rich Hamlin looks very, very good. He's also left-handed. I think I've got a few good lefties here. Nick Story also looks solid. He is 66 overall. Hamlin is 70 overall. Rex Vaughn ended up having 90 potential. 56 overall, so he's got a ways to go, but he's got 18. He's only 18. And then looking down here, Sherwood Yancey. Oh, that's huge. This was the guy that we weren't able to scout. His walks per 9 stinks, but everything else is good. The clutch is also solid and going to develop. Without a doubt, the best draft that we have had. I can't believe we got another generational prospect. I mean, he looks very similar. Yeah, honestly, better defense than Williams. Right at the start of August here, I just was looking at this box score, and I don't know how he's doing it, but Freddie Triola just got another complete game shutout. This time, only 1 hit. So between him and Nance, he might honestly be the better pitcher. I mean, they look very similar. I think it could have been either one that it happened to. But I was thinking about giving an extension to Hal Nance. It might be Triola. Or maybe it's neither of those guys, and it's actually Julian Casilla. Look at him, 2.55 ERA, 7 starts now. Wow. So we finished out the season 41 and 121. Actually impressed that we got 41 wins. Of course, we were still the worst team in the league. Looking at the standings, we finished 67 games behind the Phillies. And there's nobody really particularly close to us, which thank God, honestly, because we've got like 6 Joe Randoms on our starting team. And it is time for the moment of truth. Let's take a look at the awards. And we did get the Rookie of the Year, and it is David Viciano. How about that? Let's see how he ended up doing. So his contact, vision, discipline, all improved. That is exactly what we're looking for. I've been training him on those exact statistics. He hit 25 homers, 72 RBIs, 701 OPS. How was his WAR? Still negative WAR. Yeah, we need to get that on base percentage up. It definitely is not the defense. The speed is a little low for playing shortstop, but it's kind of like Corey Seager, and he plays a great shortstop. But yeah, great to see him get the Rookie of the Year, and Leslie Sciambi is right behind him. Now, if we take a look at Sciambi, he had 1.6 WAR, so it's not the end-all, be-all stat, but yeah, between the 2 guys, I do like Sciambi, but it's fun to have a just absolute slugger on the team here in David Viciano. Corey Williams also got his 2nd Silver Slugger Award. We did have a league leader. What was that? Oh, triples. Okay, triples and walks for Corey Williams. That is very interesting. And nobody was particularly close. 17 triples for Corey Williams. And looking at the walks, he had 97 walks. That is fantastic. Clearly, that's why his discipline went up so much. All 3 of our starters were pretty good this year. Hal Nance had a 3.75 ERA. Freddie Triola and finished with a 3.31. Very, very good. And to my biggest surprise, look at the hits per 9 development, by the way, here. Julian Casilla ended up starting, 16 games. He got 6 wins out of there, 172 innings, and a 2.97 ERA. I think he has found himself a spot in this rotation. I didn't think I brought Tim Shepard back up. I thought I'd sent him down. I'm not sure why he's here. Maybe some roster crunch or something here in the offseason, but he did struggle. 6.77 ERA. Willie Samuel is probably going to be one of the guys getting an extension here. He does still have 1 more year of renewable, but he's been our most consistent reliever so far, and really the first reliever that we brought up, and he got even better this year, a 3.69 ERA. Great development on the Ks per 9. Michael Rosales took a step back this year, although his stats developed nicely, but he had a 5.13 ERA. And I think out of all these guys, I'm most impressed with Junior Meza. I was not sure how things would go with him, but he has turned out to be a pretty good closing option for us. 2.77 ERA, was 27-5 in his save opportunities. That's pretty solid. So sitting to the offseason here, and the Rockies defeat the Yankees in the World Series? Hold on a second. I have got to take a look at this roster. Who is on the Rockies? Oh, Wow. Okay. We have Nolan Jones. He's been really good. Lawrence Butler, sure. Chase Dollander, yep. He's definitely a pretty solid pitching prospect. Did they end up signing it? No, he's still in arbitration. Junior Caminero? That's personal for me. I'm a Rays fan. He's doing all right. Yeah, usually he's not too good in this game. I've done a Rays rebuild before, if you've seen that. With the default rosters, he does not end up playing too well. What's the rotation looking like? They got Dollander, Javier, Singer, Sizemore, rookie. Oh, this guy looks good. Oh, he is good. 3 absolute legends have all been inducted into the Hall of Fame here at the same time. 2031 inductees. What a class. You got Mike Trout, and then you got 2 third basemen, Nolan Arenado, Manny Machado. After some consideration, I've decided to give some longer-term deals to 5 guys on the roster. I offered 4 years, $40 million for Brandon Black, 4 years, $46 million for Hal Nance, 6 years, $40.8 million for Leslie Ciambi. I especially like his positional flexibility, and he's still got a lot of room for growth. Our star catcher, Elvis Tejeda, I'm looking to lock him down for 9 years at about $100 million. And the relief pitcher, Willie Samuel, who we know at this point, been on the team for a couple years, offered him 5 years at $3.9 million a year. I think the relievers and closers could get a little bit expensive long-term, so I do want to lock some of these guys up eventually, Mike Tomolo being one of them. Lincoln Donovan will probably be another. And then in a few years, we'll have Johnny Blanco and Sherwood Yancey. The main guy that I need to keep space in the budget for is Salvatore Soriano, and I haven't decided just yet if I'm going to bring him up to the majors, but he'll end up getting a deal very similar to the one that we gave Corey Williams eventually, so I've got to keep in mind that there's going to be another $22 million out the door as early as next year. And after just a couple of weeks, all those guys accepted their salary offers. That brings our salary total up to $84 million. Another draft lottery. Here we go. I'm thinking we're going to get knocked way down this time. We're due to go down to like 7th. All right, 3rd. We'll take it. We'll take it. And starting this next year, I think our odds are going to get worse and worse. After 7 years, I present to you the first full lineup of players that we have drafted. Leading off and playing center field will be Brandon Black. He got a 4-year, $10 million per year extension in the offseason. Batting second will be utility man Leslie Ciambi, who also received a 6-year, $6.8 million extension last year. He will be playing left field. Batting third is our generational second baseman Corey Williams, 2-time All-Star, 2-time Silver Slugger, and Rookie of the Year in 2030. Batting cleanup is Clemente Davila, first baseman, but he will be DHing. And batting fifth is our second generational player who is making his MLB debut the year after being drafted. Salvatore Soriano will be playing third base. Power hitting first baseman David Vizcaino will be batting sixth. Rookie outfielder Roger Bermudez will be playing left field and batting seventh. First baseman Julio Mateo will make his return to the major leagues. Hoping for a little bit more out of Mateo this year. He struggled in 2031. And lastly, our young catcher, Elvis Tejada, will be batting ninth. He's a pretty good on-base guy, so I want him to be on base for when the lineup flips over. We've also got a full pitching rotation. Freddie Triola will be our ace this year. Hal Nance will be our second pitcher. He received a 4-year, $11.5 million per year deal. Julian Casilla will be the third starter. He impressed me last year. I wanted him to be a long relief arm, but he was doing so well as a starter that we're going to keep him there. Rookie Phil Wells will be our fourth starter. And then Tim Shepard is back to be our fifth starter. He struggled in his first year, but I'm expecting a lot more out of him. His stats are good enough to be pretty solid. In the bullpen, we still have 2 Joe Randoms, but other than that, we have 5 bullpen arms. Mike Tremolo will be starting in long relief. Willie Samuel is back in middle relief. He received a 5-year deal. Joe Mercado will make his debut in middle relief. And then Michael Rosales will be our setup guy, expecting a little bit better season from him this year. And Junior Meza will be our closer. Now, we're still ranked 30th going into this season, but I disagree with how the computer has us, and I think that a good goal for us this year is to be a 500 team. Here we are on opening day. The fellas are all lined up, and Freddie Triola will take the mound as our ace this year, the Southpaw. Pretty fair matchup for us here on opening day facing the Reds. They were 80 and 82 last year. That's about what I expect for us this season. Triola facing Darren Richard here to start the day, and he begins with a strikeout. Beautiful slider. Now Triola has Shawnuel down 1-2, and he strikes him out. We're facing Miguel Baez, who was drafted in 2025. He is very solid. Here's a look at our lineup and the predicted averages. Salvatore Soriano, our rookie generational player, actually has the highest predicted average. Here's the first career at bat for generational player Salvatore Soriano. Soriano is the #1 prospect in the MLB right now and the front runner for the Rookie of the Year. And he gets a 3-1 pitch and lines a base hit into left field. And he will coast in there with a double, a leadoff double to start his MLB career. That'll bring up Julio Mateo. He really struggled last year. Hoping for some improvement here in this season as he drills one, but right to second base. So the lineup turns over, and we're back to Brandon Black here at the top. And Black draws a walk. And Leslie Siambi with a deep drive into left. That's gone! And the Nationals take an early 2-0 lead on opening day. Great start to the year so far for Triola. Has not given up a run. That is 5 scoreless innings. So into close for us is Junior Meza. Meza does not have a lot of velo, but he strikes a ton of guys out. Does not allow many hits and home runs. 2-2 pitch here to Jacob Wilson, and that's strike 3. Now Shawnuel draws a walk, though, so the tying run will be coming to the plate. And arguably the Reds' best hitter, Lawrence Butler, is at the plate, and he also draws a walk. Meza struggling a little bit. Full count pitch here to McLean. And that's drilled but foul, thankfully. So we'll see another payoff pitch, and that is going to be popped out into left. 2 outs. So we're just 1 out away from an opening day victory. That is hit hard out into right, but it will stay in the yard, and the Nats start the year with a dub. Freddie Triola was definitely the player of the game there. He gave us 7 solid innings, giving up no runs, 6 Ks. And although it was a little bit dicey, Junior Meza was able to get his first save of the year. Despite our win on opening day, though, the Reds would go on to win the next 3 games of the series. We did pick it up another victory versus the Braves, but we are 2-7 to start the year. And as we get into scouting this year, I probably will not show quite as much of the process. We've seen plenty of that throughout this video, so we'll spend a little bit more time looking at and managing our team. I do see some pretty good options at the top of the board, though. A lot of good position players. I'm very interested in the bat of Roger Vasquez. We do have quite a few outfielders at this point, but I can't turn down hitting stats like that. We are continuing to struggle a little bit here throughout April, getting a couple of victories here and there, but not a whole lot of sustained success. Great to see, though, that Salvatore Soriano is hitting the ground running here, 766 OPS, but he is not currently on the Rookie of the Year page, so a little ways to go. Thomas Irabu is, however, which is kind of surprising to me. He's actually on our bench, and we're continuing to struggle here, 15-24 to start the year. It's not been an issue at all with our offense. It's definitely more so been on the pitching side. Triola's got a 5.63 ERA. Hal Nance has been pretty solid. Rosales is continuing to develop nicely, but he's not pitching a whole lot better than last year so far. And then most disappointing has been Junior Meza. Now, he does continue to develop, but he is 7-5 in his save opportunities, so we've definitely lost some wins because of him. But I do think he'll bounce back. And we're in week 6 of scouting. There's some good pitchers who've risen up the board, especially Discovery guy here, Jarvis Lutz. And in the first round, Roger Vasquez does look really good. The bat skills do not lie. Great start so far today from Triola. He is through 8 innings. He's got a chance at a complete game shutout heading into the 9th. After a couple of hits, though, 2 outs here, 2 runners on. But that's grounded to third, bobbled over there. Throw to second is in time, and that is a complete game shutout. I found a few really good closer options for the draft coming up here. I've not had a whole lot of luck with Discovery guys, though. There's not very many good options here. I've found mostly guys like this. Robbie Lester, just not good at all. Heading into the draft, my #1 choice will be Roger Vasquez. It's 50-50 as to whether he reaches us. There was a lot of good pitchers at the top of the board and a lot of good outfielders, so I think we have a decent chance, but those plate skills are just phenomenal. If we can't get Vasquez, I'd be happy to settle with Robert Beatty. Great contact, vision, discipline, good defense as well. So let's get this started. I am just hoping to not see left field Vasquez. Okay, good start. And now who's going to go for the second pick? It's not Vasquez. Beautiful, so I'm going to get the guy I want here. Vasquez looks fantastic. Very glad that he stayed on the board. So I think I'm going to take Mitch Champion here and then hope that I can get a closer or one of those starters next round. All right, Jarvis Lutz is still on the board for round 3. I'm going to just hope that maybe he makes it to round 4. I need to keep getting more bullpen arms, and Seamus Scher looks too good to pass up. We did lose a lot of our position players. Probably not going to be able to get Josh Cox, but the priority right now is getting a couple more bullpen arms. And Jarvis Lutz is still on the board, so I want to get him in here. We haven't drafted a good starter in a while. And everybody's still here going into the next round. Let's go ahead and get another bullpen arm, Zach Kroll, and I think one of these 2 starters will fall to the next round. And it's really a toss-up between Kraus and Sexton, but Sexton does have a little bit better hits per 9 and walks per 9. Kraus looks a little bit more like a strikeout guy, which I don't necessarily need for our starter, so I'm actually going to go with Curtis Sexton for the final pick. The All-Star game just came and went, and we did have a couple of representatives. I'm very impressed with Elvis Tejada. He just continues to perform and develop very well every single year. He was a catcher All-Star. And then Corey Williams also snuck in there for second base. Unfortunately, he's not having that great of a year. I'm hoping he could pick things up here towards the second half, but that does make him a 3-time All-Star. As we finished up Roger Vasquez's profile here, he has gotten even better, and I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm getting a sneaky suspicion that he could be generational. I don't know how to figure that out anymore. I've watched some videos on it, but I don't know, but my interest is very piqued. Elvis Tejada continues to develop. I think I showed him just a moment ago, but man, these stats are just fantastic. And to have a 20-game hitting streak going as a catcher, unbelievable. His defense is pretty good too. He's not a liability there, so he's got 3.5 WAR, and that's another long-term deal that's going to work out well for us. Salvatore Soriano is developing extremely well. The vision, discipline, and clutch is what I have him focused on. I mean, he's generational, so he's going to be amazing, but out of all of his stats, those were the ones that were the lowest, and we're seeing some good development there. He's actually hitting better than Corey Williams, who's up to 97 overall. Our issues have really been on the run prevention side of things, and you can see I've got to scroll down very, very far all the way to the bottom. We're letting up way too many runs. But with all that being said, we are not really doing too well this season, so I'm just going to go ahead and take a look at our draft picks here in a little bit, and we will finish off this season. All right, let's see how we did here. I had a feeling that Roger Vasquez could be generational. Let's see. Okay, no, he's not, but he is very good. He's also 75 overall already at 18. Those plate skills are not going to lie. He might have to DH, though. Maybe we could stick him in like right field or something. But man, I probably give him 1 year in the minors, but he looks great for next year. Mitch Champion is about what I expected. Pretty solid catcher. Needed another backstop in our farm system. Looks like we nailed our 2 closers. Seamus sure looks great. Very well rounded. Probably a good middle relief arm for us. Zach Kroll has a little bit more of the typical closer build with the not as good walks per 9. I'm bummed that his clutch is a little bit low. And then the one starter we took, Jarvis Lutz, has high B potential. Hits per 9's pretty bad. Gonna need to develop that, but overall I'm pretty happy with him. I think at this point it's safe to say that we are still not ready as a squad. Really need to finish developing the bullpen and starting rotation. I think the lineup is fine overall. All right, finishing out the year here, we end up 75 and 87. Again, not as good as I thought we would be, but obviously by far the best season we've had. We ended up being 22 games out of the division. We were 6 games worse than the Phillies, who were exactly 500. And they had definitely been one of the better teams in our division throughout most of this rebuild, but it looks like the Marlins and the Braves are now 1 and 2. Let's see, how far out were we of a wild card spot? Okay, 9 games. We were definitely not the worst team in the league. Looks like the Diamondbacks were the worst team, which is surprising. That's definitely a fall from grace there. Looks like we were 6th in batting average, not bad at all. We were 13th in runs scored, so a little bit better than average. 22nd in home runs, not a ton of power there. But as I mentioned before, the real issue is on giving up too many runs. The pitching staff is just not there quite yet. We gave up the most runs in the league. Unfortunately, Soriano could not surpass Logan Hanks here for Rookie of the Year, so we're not going to get that extra draft pick next year. Hanks was really impressive. I don't know if he's exactly a generational player, but obviously very good. 862 OPS, 30 homers, 82 RBIs. Soriano had a great debut, though. 814 OPS, 4.4 WAR, which is actually quite a bit more than Hanks had. So I guess we're just going by the counting stats here. Maybe is it really just home runs that gave Logan Hanks the Rookie of the Year? I don't know. I feel like Soriano had a decent case. Tim Shepard did get a Gold Glove as a pitcher, and Corey Williams did pick up his 3rd Silver Slugger. So he's got 3 of those, 3 All-Star appearances, but look at his stats. He had a down year. Unfortunately regressed this year. 799 OPS, definitely the worst he's had so far. His rookie year was the best by OPS, but we know for sure he's going to bounce back from that. And now finishing out the year, the Reds defeat the Mariners in the 2032 World Series. The Reds are who we defeated on opening day. So we definitely started to turn the page here to being a competitive roster in 2032. Not just yet, but at least we weren't by far the worst team in the league. And heading into next year, we're going to have a couple of bullpen arms to add to the team. We'll also be able to round out our bench a little bit with guys like Roosevelt Macias, as well as Miguel Vega-Romas, who I'm going to bring up next season. And there will probably be a couple changes on the pitching side. We've got some good starters that are in the queue here. Andy Inman was excellent at AAA. The stats have disappeared now, but he probably needs to join us in the majors. Even though Reynolds is 82 overall, I'm not totally sold on him coming up just yet. I feel like he can improve some of his per 9 stats. I think his overall is being carried a little bit by that stamina. So I will work through yet another offseason, and I will see you for 2033. Decided to give out a couple more long-term contracts. I signed Roger Bermudez for 5 years, $9 million. And I also signed Rosales for 3 years, $8 million a year. I don't know. I don't feel great about the deal, but he's up here right now. I think he's going to become better than he is. We'll see how it goes. So all in all, our budget's at $121 million going into this year, and we still have about $70 million left. So I feel pretty good that we'll be able to stay under our budget constraints. Man, I would love to be able to sign free agents right now. Look who is on the market. Generational player from round 1 of 2026. Look at the consistency in his stats. 8 or 7 WAR every year the last 4 years. That is phenomenal. But alas, we are sticking with the squad that we've got, and I do feel pretty good going into next year. Not starting quite as high up in the draft lottery this time. We've only got about a 3% chance to jump up the board, and if I had to foresee and look into the future, I don't think we'll be eligible for another lottery pick, because I do think we will be better than an average team last year, and I don't know if I've ever seen this before. Nobody moved at all. A lot of time has passed in this video. It is opening day 2033. We are facing the Athletics in Oakland, and they still haven't gotten their park in Vegas, apparently. And for the first time in this rebuild, I can finally say that we have a competitive roster. My hope for this year is that we can find our way into the playoffs, whether that be as a wildcard team or as a division leader. I doubt we'll be a division leader, as Brandon Black leads things off with a double. First at bat of the year for Corey Williams. I'm really hoping for some improvement this year, but he starts off by grounding to short. So that'll bring up Salvatore Soriano, his first at bat of the year. And he lines one deep out into right field. That is back and off the wall. Soriano with a double, and we take a 1-0 lead. Freddie Triolo will be our ace once again this season, and in the bottom of the first, there's a couple runners on. Here's a 1-2 pitch, and that's strike 3. He gets out of it. Have not been able to catch a David Viciano home run on camera just yet, but we did just catch him line one into right, but look at the hustle over there. That is caught. Brandon Black with a 2-run shot in the top of the third, and we open up a 3-0 lead. Now Junior Meza in to get the save. He's got Spasayo down 1-2, and that is strike 3. Very solid game on opening day, especially impressed with our pitching staff, who only gave up 5 hits and 1 walk, but no runs. And we would go on to take 2 of 3 from the Athletics, as well as 2 of 3 from the Phillies, so 2 series wins to start the year. But a tough break here, as our best player, Corey Williams, is going to be on the IL for a couple months. So playing without Corey Williams here, and we're down 1 in the bottom of the 9th, 2-on-2 outs for Tejeda. And that's drilled into left center. That'll tie the game. And it gets past the outfielder. 2-run score, and that is a walk-off. And through the first month of the season, we're 19-15, but we did get swept by the Dodgers and lose 4 straight here at the end of the month. And right now we're chasing the Braves and the Marlins. Still have not been able to beat the Dodgers yet, but we're playing them here, and Junior Meza's trying to close us out in the bottom of the 9th. Meza's been excellent this year. 8-1 in save opportunities, .66 ERA. He's only given up 1 earned run on a solo shot. Meza's got Brian a 2-2 count here and strikes him out with the high heat. Now facing Jet Williams here, another real-life prospect. And he gets Jet Williams to fly out into right. 2-2 pitch. And that's strike 3, up and in. We managed to beat Roki Sasaki that game as well. But they have really had our number. They've won 5 out of the 6 games this year against us. So we've fallen back a little bit now, 21-19, 6 games behind the Marlins. Bases loaded in Toronto, trying to take the lead here in extras. And Vizcaino with a base hit up the middle, that'll score 2. Great to see him come through here, but he is struggling this year. The contact, vision, discipline, you've heard me say it before, just never quite got there for him. I know he could do better than this, but yeah, not so far this year. Elvis Tejeda trying to add on to the lead now, and he gets a pitch to hit, and he does exactly that. It's 5-2. So we've got another chance to close it out, but we've already given up a run. Nobody can get an out in the bullpen, and finally we defeat the Blue Jays 8-7. Luckily, though, Corey's going to be back soon. We really need that juice back in our lineup. Corey Williams is back, and you can see the impact he's having. We're up 17-2, and he's already homered twice today. And despite his injury, he's having a career year right now, 946 OPS, looking like his first season. On the scouting side, I've managed to find a couple of gems. Elliot Foster and Sean Kidd look amazing. And if you ever see a prospect that has some stats that are just like way too low that the game would never really generate, usually that's a sign that the players are decent. So that's usually one of the strategies that I use to find gems, and I learned that from Scrawny Slugger. Check him out. We really haven't been able to break away from about 500 so far this year, but we are getting a few victories now. So it's a good start for June, and we're now 40-31, but we're still 6 games out of the division. However, we are in the first spot of the wild card. Corey Williams has been absolutely on fire. 1.136 OPS. Soriano and Bermudez have been our next 2 hitters, and then Miguel Vega Ramos, if you can believe it, the catcher that we got who started at 46 overall or whatever it was, he's got a 770 OPS. Tejeda's having a bit of a down year, and as the season goes on, I'm getting more and more impressed with the back end of our rotation here. Look at these guys' ERAs, especially Mike Tumolo, 1.13. And that's with having pretty low clutch, which surprises me, honestly. As far as Junior Meza, he is having by far the best year of his career, 19-3 on save opportunities. I guess his first season was pretty good too, but it's a bounce back from last year. And looking at the ERA standings, we are 6th, which is definitely very solid. As far as runs scored, though, we're a little farther down the board, 9th, but still better than average. And we just took 2 games from Toronto, pretty dominant victories, and we're now 10 games over 500. The team is looking pretty good. For this draft, we've got 2 guys that can play shortstop at the top of the board. That is definitely a position of need. My favorite is Eli Angeles, has elite defense and good enough contact. I'd also be happy with Mario Rosario. He's a little bit more bat first, though, and we already have some guys like him, including a generational player. And as we sit ahead to our pick, Mario Rosario got taken, which is great. Eli Angeles was the number 1 choice for me. Really want to get a defensive infielder in here. Can't wait to get Angeles on the squad. Tom Jimenez is available in round 2, so we're going to go with him. And I think there's a good shot that Kidd and Studer are going to fall to the next round, especially Studer because he was actually a discovery guy. So I am just very interested in taking Boyce Obama. There's a chance that he ends up being 60 overall and can't play next year, but we really need some middle infield. And now Sean Kidd and Simon Studer are still on the board, and I think I got to go with Studer here just for the fact that he's 100% scouted, potential range is pretty high, and he's ranked 28th still for the 116 pick. Should be a steal. And I don't really love the options here left on the board. I know that Emil Ibisedo is ranked 34th, but that hits per 9 and strikeouts per 9 is just not good. So even though he's got a lower ceiling, I'm going to go with Mel Moran. Oh, I just removed him. Find him. Okay, we got him just in time. Honestly, forgot that we had another pick, so I'm going to go with Kelly Sang-Gian here. He's probably going to have high potential just because he looks so bad. And he might not ever see the field, but I do think he's going to have high potential, and I actually feel really good about this draft. The All-Star game just came and went, and looking at our team, it looks like Junior Meza got his first All-Star appearance, and rightfully so. He's been unbelievable and developing extremely well. Elvis Tejeda also got on as a catcher. That's 2 years in a row. Unfortunately, Williams is not here, so that breaks his streak. The injury got in the way of that. But he is still absolutely lighting it up. 650 slugging, over a 1.0 OPS. Kind of surprised that Hal Nance wasn't chosen. Maybe it's because he's 8-5, but he has been unbelievable. And the same can be said about Mike Tamolo, but I don't think he would get put on because he's not really getting any saves. But we'll certainly take what we can get.
So I lost a massive clip finishing out this season, but we would go on to go 95-67, winning the division and heading to the playoffs.
Time for our first playoff push of the series. Freddie Triola will take the mound. And right off the bat, he's going to face Ronald Acuna Jr. To my surprise, we are coming in as the 1 seed this year, and we have home field advantage as Triola strikes out Acuna. Now after a double from Corey Williams, Soriano's at the plate. 2-2 pitch, and that is drilled right to first base. And Davia gets us on the board with a solo shot. The Braves are right behind us in the division this year. They were pretty good, but a huge opportunity here in the bottom of the second with the bases loaded. Black down 1-2 in the count, and that's strike 3. Triola continues to pitch well in game 1 here, but here's the test at the top of the 5th. 2 on with Acuna at the plate. Triola's got him down 1-2. Here's the pitch. And that's strike 3. Still would like a lot more than 1 run here, especially because the bases are now loaded in the top of the 6th. Count is now full. Here's the pitch. It's strike 3. That is huge. So we've got our bullpen going now, and Michael Rosales comes in first, and he works a clean 7th. He's going to stay in for the 8th, and he walks the first batter, but he's picked off. Now Chamolo comes in relief, and he allowed a couple of base runners, so Lincoln Donovan is in now to try to get us out of a jam. As a rookie this year, Donovan was pretty good. 89 innings pitched, 3.44 ERA. He's also the only lefty in our bullpen, so he's coming in to face the lefty here. Full count pitch, and that's going to be popped up towards foul territory, and it's caught. So Junior Meza will have to come in with just a 1-0 lead. And Meza strikes out Benj right on the corner. And he gets the second batter to strike out. And Young was definitely not happy about that, throwing his bat. Just 1 strike away from taking game 1, and that is strike 3. Great start from Freddie Triola with 9 strikeouts, no runs. Meza gets the save, and we take a 1-0 series lead. Hal Nance is going to start game 2, which we also win 13-10. So we've got 3 opportunities to finish this series off, but we'll have to do it in Atlanta. Make that 3 runs as Acuna goes back-to-back. So now we're chasing 2 in the bottom of the 9th. And the Braves end up defeating us 3-1. So we're back in Atlanta now for game 4, trying to close the series out. And we get off to a good start. Tejeda with a 2-run shot. And now Williams follows that up in the 3rd with another 2-run shot. Andy Inman is making his first career postseason appearance, and so far so good. And we've knocked the Braves starter out in the top of the 4th. And it is now 9-1 heading into the 7th, so I am simulating to the end of this game. But quickly the Braves start to strike back. It's 9-5. But ultimately the bullpen would shut things down and we win 10-5. So we defeat the Braves in the division series, and our reward now is getting to play the Dodgers in the CS. The Dodgers were good this year, but they weren't great. 87-75, and we were 95-67. But they are still very good, and their lineup especially is hot right now in the postseason. Our ace, Triola, is on the mound once again. The Dodgers definitely do not have any of their household names left, but they do have some prospects who are known in real life, like Alex Freeland and Leo DeVry. Their 2 veteran players are Royce Lewis and O'Neal Cruz. They also have Braden Montgomery. And they've got this guy, Del Gold, who is from round 1. He was a Rookie of the Year in 2026, and he's a very well-rounded hitter. Facing none other than Yoshinobu Yamamoto today, and he has just been fantastic throughout this simulation window. He's won 3 Cy Youngs. So this is going to be a pretty serious test for our offense. It'll also be a test for Triola, who's got the bases loaded but gets out of it. And we take the lead in the 2nd on a Tejeda single. And now Soriano with a 2-run shot in the 3rd, and we're up 4-0. And we've now extended the lead to 5-0, and Triola gets through the 7th. Our offense has been so impressive today, and we've got another good opportunity in the 7th. And Elvis Tejeda with a drive into right. That is way gone. Tejeda crosses home with a 3-run shot, and it is 8-0. And we would go on to win 8-0. That gives me a lot of confidence. The Dodgers would strike back in Game 2, though, winning 6-2. So we're headed into LA, where we lose the first game, but we win the second game, and the series is all tied up. So we're heading into Game 5, which is a swing game. And we'll be facing Jesus Luzardo, who did not have a great start in his first start of the postseason. The environment is very lit here in LA, as Luzardo strikes out Bermudez to start the game. Luzardo's got pretty good stats here. 85 overall, left-handed, had a 3 ERA in most years. Freddie Triola, our ace, is back on the mound here for Game 5. And we're going to need another good start out of him. And we get lucky with the first batter of the game with the lineout. The Dodgers take the lead in the bottom of the 2nd off a 2-run shot. And that's the first blip on the radar, really, for Triola in the playoffs. But he gives up another run in the 3rd. And another one to DeVry. So it's turning into a blowout as Luzardo continues to dominate. And it only gets worse as we're losing 8-0 heading into the 9th. And the Dodgers close us out easily. So we get to head back home now for Game 6 with our backs against the wall, and Hal Nance takes the mound. And Nance immediately gives up a solo shot, and we're down 1-0 as O'Neal Cruz adds another. And to make matters worse, we're facing Roki Sasaki today. Opportunity to answer back those 2 runs, though. Runners on 2nd and 3rd with 1 out in the bottom of the 2nd. And Brandon Black is going to ground out to second base, but that'll score a run. So that brings up the top of the order in Roger Bermudez. But he strikes out. At least we do cut the lead in half now. But Hal Nance has not righted the ship. Another 2-run shot, and we're down 4-1. Now we're heading into the 7th, and the Dodgers have extended their lead. It is 8-1. And Sasaki's really dominated us the whole game. Roosevelt Macias grounds into a double play, and that'll do it. Of course, it's the Dodgers that knock us out in our first attempt at a postseason run. As I sim through the rest of the season, the Yankees ultimately defeat the Dodgers in the World Series. That's their payback for 2024. Francisco Lindor and J-Ram have both retired. That shows you how much time has passed here. And we do need to add a couple new coaches here. I do have to say, though, that was a pretty good showing for our team. Look at how far we've come with only players that I've drafted. And the good news is we're only going to get better going into next year, as we've got players like closer Rich Hamlin coming up. But I'm most excited for Roger Vasquez, who absolutely dominated AAA, and his stats look great. He'll probably have to DH, though. But that'll be completely fine, as Davia could either move to first base or go to the bench. And if Davia moves to first, I could put Leslie Chiambi in corner outfield and replace Thomas Irabu. I'm also expecting to make maybe a couple of changes with our starting pitchers. Buddy Queen looks good enough to get to the majors. And at this point, Blake Reynolds is up to 85 overall, but the hits per 9 is still a little bit low. I still think it'd be stupid for me not to give him a shot in the bigs. There's a couple guys that I'm not going to be bringing back next year, David Vizcaino being one of them. I'm kind of bummed it didn't work out for him, but the contact just never got there. I also don't want to bring back Julian Casilla. He wants $6 million this year. He had one good season, but didn't follow that up well and was hardly used at all last season. But I did offer a couple of deals, the largest of which is $52 million for 4 years with Junior Meza. And the plan will be to have Meza be our closer for the foreseeable future. I'm also bringing back Davia, Shepard, and Mateo all on 1-year arbitration deals. Mike Tamolo has also been super reliable in the bullpen, so I'm going to offer him a longer-term contract. Well, after the close call last season, we're back to give it another shot, and here's a look at the lineup. There's only a couple of changes. The main one is we're bringing up the 19-year-old stud, Roger Vasquez. He's going to be DHing for us. His fielding is not good enough, but those hitting stats are really solid, and he's about as close to generational as you can get without being generational. 80 overall at 19. I believe he has 94, 95 potential. Rotation's pretty similar to last year, but a couple of changes here. Buddy Queen is going to come up and be a starter. Blake Reynolds is also going to come up, but he's going to make his debut in the bullpen. I like him in long relief. But if he's absolutely dominant, I don't mind changing this around. Pretty good matchup for opening day. Division rivals in the Braves. And we'll be taking on Brian Bayo, who's made his way over to Atlanta. I feel pretty good about our offense this year. My major concerns are on the defensive side of things as Bermudez starts the year with a flyout. I mean, we've got a few guys who are decent on defense, but for the most part, it's a pretty rough scene. And we were actually ranked 27th in defense to start the year, so we won't be saving many runs. Hopefully we can just pitch so well that we don't have to worry about it that much. Really excited to see what Salvatore Soriano can do this year. He's at the plate right now, and you can see last season he racked up 5.5 WAR, but even more impressively, at just 19 years old last year, he won the MVP. And he has still got a ton of room for growth, so I'm very excited to see him this year, but we start the season with 3 flyouts. And Triola's in trouble here in the first, giving up a couple of hits to start the year. And the Braves put one up in the first, no outs. And there you see some of the issues we have on defense as that ball drops. Diving play was not made, but, oh, I thought we got the runner, but he is safe. And you can see that the Braves signed Wyatt Langford, and he's been really, really good during this simulation window. And, yeah, we get to see a nice little replay of that. Beautiful. I don't know how we didn't get him there. Just straight up missed the tag. Good opportunity here for us in the top of the 4th. Hitters count here for Davia, but he draws a walk, so the bases are loaded. And now Brandon Black with a line drive up the third base line. And some trouble over there for Langford. So we take the lead. It's 3-2. And now here's Julio Mateo, who I have high hopes for this year. I don't think he's quite found his stride just yet in the majors, but he strikes out. And Mateo's got pretty solid hitting stats. I don't know why he hasn't quite been able to find his stride at the plate. He's also got what I would think to be as one of the better quirks, being able to hit fastballs. Good news is we don't have many holes in our lineup. We've got a very good 9-hole hitter in Sciambi, but he also strikes out. And Mateo gives up a 2-run shot here in the bottom of the 4th. It's out 4-3. But Bermudez gets one back as a tie ball game. So we're still tied, headed to the 9th. And Julio Mateo leads things off with a single into right. Roosevelt Macias came in to pinch run, and he easily swipes second base. So we're showing some of our depth now, having a guy that could come off the bench and steal a base late in the game. So here's Roger Bermudez now. And he drills one. That's going to be through the hole on the left side. There's going to be a play at the plate. Langford not in time. And now the runner's going to go for second again, and he's in there. We're showing off our speed. Corey Williams at the plate now, coming off of a 7.5 WAR season, but he goes down looking. That was right down the middle. So now it's the MVP, Soriano at the plate, and he drills one down the right field line. That'll put us up by 2. First appearance of the year for our closer, Junior Meza. 32.2% strikeout rate. That is elite. 1-2 pitch here from Meza, and that's strike 3, showing off that strikeout ability. After a back-and-forth game, the Braves are down to their final out, and that is going to be popped out into center field, and we are going to take the win on opening day. Always nice to get off to a solid start as we win that series versus the Braves and then follow that up with a revenge series win against the Dodgers. And this year we've got the 28th pick, so we won't be able to get one of those top picks and get one of these really good position players at the top of the board. But the good news is, look at the left side of your screen. We pick at 28, 31, and 32, so I'm very optimistic going into this draft. And we have stayed lightning hot over here. We've won 8 in a row to start the season. And as you would expect with our record, the starting staff has been really solid, especially Tim Shepard. Junior Meza is off to a great start this season, 10-0 in saves so far. And I don't want to jinx it, but it feels really good to have him at the back end of the bullpen. Thomas Arabu got to start off the bench today. Let's see if he can come up clutch here in the bottom of the 9th. We have had an excellent start to this season. I believe we are 20-9, but Arabu chases the high heat. And that was a slugfest. 17 hits for the Nats, 12 for the Rockies, but they beat us. And I was close. After April, we're 21-12. We do sit at the top of our division, but the Braves are close behind. The lineup's staying hot, though, and I'm especially impressed with Roger Vasquez in his rookie season. He's got a 9.05 OPS. And our starting rotation has been insane. Look at these ERAs as I scroll down. The worst one is Andy Inman. The best one is our rookie, Buddy Queen. As I expected, Blake Reynolds is struggling a little bit to start his MLB career, but he's just too good, too high of an overall at this point to not have up in the bigs. So I'm hoping he figures it out and eventually can become a starter for us. I think he's got like 89 potential. And Mike Tomolo's been our best reliever so far, 14 innings, 0.64 ERA. Down 2 in the 9th at Toronto, but the bases are loaded for Tejeda. Tejeda's been extremely clutch this year, batting over almost 500 with runners in scoring position, and there you see a hit on the third baseline. And with that, we tie the game. That was fair by about a foot. Now we've got a great guy at the plate here facing a lefty. 79 contact, 83 power versus left. 2 runners on for Davila. And he smokes one! Way out of here! No doubt about it, into the bleachers and over the bullpen. The boys are fired up. Junior Meza comes in, and the count's gone all the way to full. Meza with that 99 Ks per 9 needs a strikeout right here, but instead he induces a weak pop-up, and we are going to seal the victory. How about that bomb from Davila? Couldn't have come at a better time. And we put up 8 runs in the 9th. I just noticed that. I only jumped in when we were down 2. And look at how long this paragraph is of all the things that happened in the 9th. Tie ball game here. Bottom of the 9th. Bases loaded for Vasquez. And so far in this at-bat, Vasquez has stared at 2 fastballs right down the middle. And he's going to pop out into right. Hey, is that Pete Crow over there? That is Pete Crow, and he's up to 31. All tied up here against Cincinnati. Bottom of the 10th. Can we get another big moment for Davila? He gets a fastball right down the middle and hits it right back up the middle. Runner is headed to the plate. Throw is not in time. This guy is clutch. And that finishes off a sweep of the Reds, including a 13-4 victory here in the first game. And now we're back in the division lead. Corey Williams starting to turn his season around. He's 3 for 4 today, needs a triple for the cycle. He also has a walk. I don't know what you would call it if you get a cycle with a walk in there. That's kind of like a super cycle. And he's going to smoke one. Deep to left. All the way to the track, and it's caught right at the wall. And it's great to see him back on fire as he's actually dropped all the way down to a 96 overall. He's got 99 potential. And after coming off of last year, my expectations are pretty high for Corey. Soriano, meanwhile, is having another good season, continuing to develop, 89 overall, 856 OPS. I still know he can do better. And of course, I love all my children equally, but I do have a soft spot for Elvis Tejeda, but I'm a little worried he's actually kind of regressing here at 23 years old. I'm not sure exactly what's going on. Maybe that'll turn around, but this guy's just been unbelievable for us year in and year out. So I definitely want to monitor that situation because that would be a bummer if all of a sudden he started regressing out of nowhere. Bullpen's been really good once again this year, and actually the CPU, I don't know why it did this, but it moved Buddy Queen to long relief, and it put Blake Reynolds into the starter role, but he started 4 games, and he's won all 4, so I'm going to leave him in there for now. So we're at the MLB draft now, and the top of my board is completely loaded with pitchers. Brian Warner is really the only guy that I feel like I really want in this draft class. The best position players I found were guys who are a little bit older. If they come in with decent potential, it's not too bad. I think there's a chance I take Richard Jefferson somewhere in one of our picks around the 30s. You never know what's going to happen in these drafts. As the consensus #1 overall pick, a pitcher who looks insane, he goes number 9, so you just never know. And simming ahead to our pick, as I mentioned, the only guy that I really want is Brian Warner. Even though he's a discovery pitcher, I don't want to even risk losing him. Unfortunately, that backfired a little bit as probably my favorite non-discovery position player goes off the board at 30. There is another pitcher on the board that I really like, though, so I'm going to take Lantigua for a 31. And we've got back-to-back picks here, so I want to get a position player in here. And the best position player I've got on my board is Frank Shedd. He probably would fall to later rounds, but let's at least get one guy in here. We could use him as well because we need some defense, good contact. We're going to go with Frank Shedd here. Junior Meza is an all-star again for the 2nd year in a row, but look at this closer, Ernesto Castillas on the Pirates. This dude's got a .48 ERA. Elvis Tejeda is the #1 catcher for the All-Star game. He does continue to have very weird regression. I don't know exactly what's going on, but it doesn't really matter. He's having the best offensive year of his career. Corey Williams got beat out by Travis Bazzana for second base. And surprisingly, Salvatore Soriano got beat out by Fernando Vargas, a third baseman who's 77 overall, but he's hit 30 home runs through the first half. And we come out of the All-Star break 60-40, 3.5 games up. The Phillies, Braves, and Marlins are all pretty solid this year. Looking around the league, though, we are the best team, and we're ranked first. We've got the best record in the league. The second best team by wins is in our division, the Phillies with 57 wins, and honestly, our biggest roadblock this year is just going to be getting out of those first couple playoff rounds. Blake Reynolds is really making an argument for a spot in the starting rotation. He's up to 88 overall, and he has got a complete game shutout going into the ninth. Reynolds has got that Diamond Dynasty build with the sinker and a cutter, and you see the cutter right there tying up Kyle Tucker for the K. So just one more out to get, and he's not going to get it here. But he remains on the mound, and he gets the next batter to pop out weakly into left. That is a complete game shutout for the rookie. And the very next day, Triola is in the same situation. I think we've already seen 2 or 3 complete game shutouts from him in this rebuild. Back around to the top of the order, facing a former Rookie of the Year, Pierre Williams, who pops out shallow right. And that is back-to-back complete game shutouts for the Nats pitching staff. There you see it, a 6-0 win against the Rays for Reynolds and a 4-0 win for Triola. By the way, he only struck out 2 guys. Well, it's a good thing the team is playing well because I am not feeling good about this draft class, but we did get a couple of decent options here. How is Shed? Okay, he's got 75 potential. That's passable. I really got him for his defense. He's still, he's not going to be that great on defense. At least the contact is good. He would be pretty good for a 75 overall. And there's definitely a reason I took Brian Warner. He looks really good. 72 overall already at 18 years old. 92 potential. I think that might be the highest potential we've gotten for a starter. I can't remember. Lantigua also looks really solid. Not too much else to hit on there, though. Unfortunately, this is a pretty rough draft class, especially having 8 picks. Luis Castro is okay. Good stats. 19 years old, though. 57 overall. Here's that consensus overall pitcher, Eddie Trevino. 85 overall right out of the gates here. Can start right away. This was honestly a pretty weak draft class, so I'm looking at the other teams. There's not too many good options. The Tigers got a pretty solid second baseman in round 2. And I spoke too soon. Archie Henson is a generational pitcher. I feel like I don't see too many of those. 80 overall at 19. This guy looks insane. Moving our way nicely through August. Lots of victories in here. We've opened up a 5.5 game lead over the Marlins, and it's us and the Marlins. The Phillies and the Braves have kind of fallen behind. The Mets haven't quite figured it out so far this year. Blake Reynolds is coming off of the best start of his career. He just went 9 innings, no runs, complete game shutout. And he's down to a 2.89 ERA, so my confidence is really growing in him. I was worried about the hits per 9, but clearly he's making it work. Now heading into a 4-game series against Miami, this is a big opportunity for us to really secure the division. But they take the first 2 games, we win the third. Let's see if we can split this series. And taking a look at the Marlins roster, they've got a lot of names that we know. Corbin Carroll's here, 33 years old now. Cam Smith and Alec Thomas, as well as Luis Angel Acuna are on the team. Agustin Ramirez has developed pretty nicely. And then they've got a couple of good young players that they've drafted throughout this rebuild. Chris Varquette, as well as first baseman Sean Cordero. And here is Cordero, pretty big guy over there from the left side. The runner's going to go for second, and he's in there easily. 2-2 to Cordero, and that is smoked out into right, way back, and it's a first inning 2-run shot for the Fish. So I am sitting to the end of this game. We never really had a chance to win it, and the Marlins might be the biggest obstacle for us this season as they defeat us 7-1 and take the series. So they make some ground on us in the division. We're only 2.5 games up. Early September, Clemente Davila just got hurt. He's going to be out for the rest of the year. So in the meantime, I don't love Macias' defense, but at least he can play first. We'll put him in the lineup for now. And we would go on to finish the year at 104-58, our best record so far by quite a bit. Last year we were 95-67, so a 9-game improvement. Taking a look at the awards here, we got a Cy Young for Blake Reynolds. And we also got a Hank Aaron Award for Corey Williams. Williams finished 3rd in the MVP voting this year. He had another very solid season, 939 OPS and 7.9 WAR. That's a new record for him. But this Cy Young for Blake Reynolds really snuck up on me. I did not think he had this in him. I didn't even have him starting at the beginning of the year. But he managed to strike out 179 batters in 182 innings. That is really impressive. So there's no doubt he'll be in our playoff rotation, and I believe this is our first Cy Young. Junior Meza was in second place for reliever of the year. The ERA just wasn't quite as good as Ernest Castillo, but he did have more saves and a lot more strikeouts. We weren't quite able to get a rookie of the year here as the Pirates have a generational player, Mitch Keller. Don't they have a guy in real life named Mitch Keller? I think it's spelled a different way, but that's pretty funny. And here's Corey Williams, back-to-back Hank Aaron Awards. And you can see that award sheet has really started to fill out for him. A couple of gold gloves for pitchers. Elvis Tejeda got his first Silver Slugger as a catcher. Corey Williams just got his 5th Silver Slugger in a row at second base. Salvatore Soriano 2 in a row at third. So I'm feeling really confident heading into the postseason here. Miami and Philly, we're going to play the wild card. We will play the winner of that series. And then you see in the bottom right of the bracket, if we win this series, we'll probably be facing the Dodgers. And it looks like Miami won the series with Philly, so we will be taking on Miami. We saw how good they were when they took 3 of 4 from us just towards the end of the season. Here's a look at our rotation for this playoff run. I've put Blake Reynolds here in the first spot. He's going to be our ace. Here's a look at our lineup, pretty similar to this whole year, but with Roosevelt Macias coming in at first. And we don't have any outfield depth pieces on the bench, which is a little bit concerning to me. Our only guy is Joe Random, so yeah. That being said, in 17 games this year, Joe Random had a 644 OPS. I don't quite understand how that's possible. I think it's something to do with these guys' potential. I think higher potential influences how well guys play just besides their stats, because look at this. I mean, he's got 30s in all of his stats. Game 1 of the NLDS, and we are facing what I would consider to be our rivals, the Marlins. Brandon Black with a ground ball, hard hit to third. Throw to first is not in time. Leadoff hit. That brings up Corey Williams now. And Williams grounds that through the right side. Full count pitch. And that's popped out into right. But that'll be deep enough to score a run. It's 1-0. And now Cam Smith here in the top of the second with the runner on first. Smokes a 2-run shot opposite field. That was impressive. We tied the lead on a Bermudez double, and now he's going to go for third. And he's in there. And now here's a ground ball over to short. That'll drive in a go-ahead run. Things have been going pretty back and forth here. It's now 5-5 in the top of the 6th. Reynolds is still in. And we've got 2 on here with 2 outs for Brandon Black. Behind on the count. 1-2 pitch. And that's a very hittable pitch. So a missed opportunity there. And now we're headed into our bullpen. And after a triple from Williams, Tejada's at the plate with a runner on third. And he flies that one out. Shallow left. I don't think that's going to be deep enough. Throw's coming home, but it's offline, and we take the lead. Mike Tumolo's in to work the 8th. And Tumolo gets Carroll to ground out to shortstop, and a very nice scoop here by Macias at first. Facing Cam Smith now, who went deep earlier in the game. And he strikes him out. Junior Mays is in to close things out. He's got the first 2 outs in the 9th. But he leaves that curveball right down the middle. That is headed deep to the track, but it will stay in the yard, and the Nats take game 1. Both teams are going back and forth there, but we managed to eke out a victory. Freddie Triola gets the start today. Let's see if he can lean on his experience from last year. But he quickly gives up a run in the first. Now a triple from Carroll and a single from Ramirez puts the Marlins up 2. Meanwhile, we were getting no hit until that double from Brandon Black, and now we score a run. And we head into the bullpen now. Steve Valdez comes in relief, and he works a clean 7th. And we've got 2 on with 1 out in the bottom half of the 7th. Payoff pitch to Sciambi, and he chases the heater. New arm from the Marlins pen, Brian Abreu. And it's up to Julio Mateo in a big spot, but he somehow makes contact. Throw to first is in time. And Sean Nelson comes in to close for the Marlins. And the Marlins end up taking game 2 to even the series. So we'll head into Miami all square. Corey Williams gets us on the board, and we put up 3 runs in the first. And now we've got something cooking again here in the second, and we score 3 more runs. Schwellenbach has to come in relief and gives up a 2-run shot. So we come out of the gates absolutely firing, and so far Hal Nance has been holding it down on the mound. The Marlins do strike back, though, with a barrage of hits and homers in the 5th. It's a 6-run inning. And I accidentally just simmed through the end of the game at rapid speed, and we ended up losing 11-10 on a walk-off homer. So a bit of a blunder there. I tried to press circle to get out of the rapid simulation, but it didn't work, and it just kept going faster. So we're back in Miami in an elimination game, down 2-1 in the series. We take the lead in the top of the 3rd. It's 1-0. And so far, Reynolds has been pretty solid on the mound, only allowing 1 hit. And a single, triple, and 2-run shot in the top of the 5th gives us a 4-0 lead. 2-2 pitch to Macias. And he's going to ground that over to first. That could be 2. Second for 1, first, and the throw's in the stands. That's one way to give us an extra run. We'll take it. Now Brandon Black drills one back up to center field. That'll score another run at 6-2. So we open up a decent lead, but we've seen leads this size evaporate for us in this series. But we've managed to hold on into the 9th, and Willie Samuel's going to come in to finish this game off. So just one more out to get in game 4. And that's popped up weakly into left. That should do it. So a solid start from Blake Reynolds, and we even up the series. And we get to head back home for the decider with Triola on the mound. Triola gives up a 2-run shot to Noel in the first inning. And he's still not out of it, giving up another run. But we get a couple of hits in the bottom of the first, looking to respond early. Marlins have their ace on the mound, left-hander Deacon Light. He dominated us in his first start, 6 innings, only giving up 1 run. And he won the Cy Young Award back in 2032. So it's going to be a challenge for us today. Already down 3-0, but that is smoked into left by Tejeda, although it's caught. It will bring a run home, though. Can Roger Vasquez keep this going? There's a ground ball up the middle. Diving play, flip to second. Nicely done. So we managed to get one back, but we're going to need Triola to keep this close. But he's coming out of the game here, and a double from Corbin Carroll in the 5th puts the Marlins up 5-1. We absolutely have to take advantage here. Bases loaded, bottom of the 6th, Macias at the plate. And Macias is going to ground out to short. That was our moment. And this season is slipping away right in front of us here. The Marlins finally go to their bullpen and their ace is out of the game, but it's just too late. And the Marlins eliminate the Nationals. Really frustrating to lose to the Marlins there. We knew they were good this season, but it's just tough being the best team in the league, not being able to get past the DS. So we'll send to the offseason, and the Marlins end up defeating the Tigers. At least we lost to the World Series champs. But that's also a little frustrating because you feel like if we could have just got past the Marlins, we would have had a really good shot at winning the World Series. So that is officially 10 years down in this video. The good news is we've still got a long window, lots of runway to try to win a World Series with our current roster, but would have liked to have got it done there. So we'll work through another offseason and try again next year. And just like that, we are back for another season. I can't believe it's 2035 already. And there's really no new faces here on the roster. Everybody's been called up. Oswaldo Tejera is going to be a rookie. He's on the bench. He's got good stats versus lefties. But he can only play second base. We've already got Corey Williams there, so I don't know how much he's really going to get to play. After his Cy Young season last year, Blake Reynolds is going to be our ace. And the rest of the bullpen and rotation is very familiar. The only real big move I made in the offseason was signing Roger Vasquez to a long-term deal, 8 years, $20 million. So he's right up there with Corey Williams and Salvatore Soriano. He's not generational, but he's pretty close to it. It's just the defense that's really not generational level. This is the last year before a couple of our guys become free agents. Hal Nance, Clemente Davila, Brandon Black, Michael Rosales. So I do feel like a little bit of the window's closing, but we do have guys that can come up and replace them. That being said, it's not exactly like we have a stable of good players waiting to come up. Some of these guys are decent, good stats overall, but most of them have C potential. As far as the bullpen and rotation in AAA, though, we've got plenty of guys that can come up. Taking on the Phillies on opening day, and we're off to a good start here. 3 straight players on base, and we're up 2-1. The Phillies, of course, are one of our division rivals. They haven't been as good, and in recent years, they were very good in the beginning of this rebuild when we weren't as competitive. Hoping that Blake Reynolds has a great year this year to follow up his Cy Young season, and if he does, he will be in line for a long-term deal. And Tristan Casas with a base hit up the middle. You don't see too many names that we recognize now at this point. Here is another name that we recognize, though. Edgar Cuero, but he's going to ground into a double play. Nice turn. Good execution there by Reynolds to get out of the inning. Corey Williams already in his 6th season now. He's 2 for 2 today, and he's going to line out into right. And I'm expecting our other generational player here, Salvatore Soriano, to reach the mid-90s overall this year. He's currently 91 overall at 21, still has lots of room for growth. The defense has also improved significantly. And we're still up 1 headed into the 9th. Junior Meza in, and he gets the save. We win opening day. And at this point, I think we know what to expect from the team, so I'm going to move pretty quickly through the season as we start off 6-0. And our offense is absolutely dominating. Look at how many runs we put up against Toronto. That's 34 in 3 games. At the beginning of June here, we are 40-19, 4 games up on the Marlins and the Phillies, who are actually pretty good this year. And we've been really, really solid so far, including a 22-0 victory over the Diamondbacks. Brandon Black has been the best hitter for us so far this year. He's having the best offensive season of his career so far. The usual suspects are all playing pretty well, but nobody's exactly standing out. Salvatore Soriano's not having the best of years. Roger Bermudez is having a down year, but I expect he'll turn that around. His stats are too good. Tomolo and Hamlin have been excellent in the bullpen, and then Inman and Nance have been our best starters. And Blake Reynolds, who I was expecting to be our ace this year, has been really struggling. Miami has continued to have our number, though, as they've taken the first 2 of this series, and they took 2 out of 3 way back in April. We are well ahead of them in the division, but I'm still nervous that they're going to be an issue for us in the postseason. Just wrapped up the All-Star game, and Junior Meza is once again an All-Star, his 3rd in a row. This year he's 30-2 in save opportunities, so he continues to be solid. And Rich Hamlin also is an All-Star, and you can see he's developing very nicely. He's probably going to be next in line for a long-term deal. 50 innings, 2.66 ERA this year. Corey Williams once again is an All-Star at second base, and he's having a pretty average season by his standards, but that is his 5th All-Star appearance in 6 years. Leslie Chiambi's in for third base. To my surprise, Roosevelt Macias is an All-Star at shortstop. Our best young player, Roger Vasquez, is an All-Star in the outfield, and he is having a good year, 508 slugging. And the 36-year-old Juan Soto is an All-Star. Take a look at this awards page. Impressive to see he is still in the league. And we are playing extremely well, 66-31, but the Marlins are pretty much just as good, and they've beat us throughout this year. I'm re-signing Brandon Black during contract extensions. We don't have any better options in the outfield, and he's been super consistent for us. And you can see we've got quite a few long-term deals on here, but we do have a couple of guys coming off of contracts, and I'm not sure if I'm going to bring them back, so that opens up a little bit of space. If Blake Reynolds was having a better season coming off that Cy Young year last year, I probably would give him a long-term deal, but I'm just not willing to do that with his results this year. And it continues to amaze me just how good Elvis Tejeda is. He's our cornerstone catcher, and he's been just so consistent and solid, and the last 2 seasons especially, he's taken a step up offensively. This long-term deal is going to work out very well with Tejeda. Hopefully we never see 2040 or even 2036 for that matter. I sped through the scouting and the drafting, and taking a look at our draft class, we did okay. It's definitely more difficult now to get great position players at the top of the board since we're picking in the 26th spot, I believe it was this year, but Gerald Carney looks good at first base. Dwight Clay has more of a power profile. If you remember David Vizcaino from way earlier in this video, very similar. Not sure if he would ever make the MLB. Third baseman Antonio Campos has pretty high potential, but definitely our best pick of the draft was Reynaldo Baca. Very well-rounded closing pitcher. Hits per 9 is off the charts. Overall, it was a pretty weak draft class this season, but surprise, surprise, the Marlins probably won it, getting 3 high potential players. But let's get back to the rest of this season. We are continuing to dominate, sweeping the Milwaukee Brewers, and now sweeping the Athletics, including putting up 18 runs. And I haven't jumped into many games this year, but Tim Shepard has a shutout going into the 9th, and look who is at the plate. It's a Joe Random. That's right, 31 overall Joe Random is on the Phillies. It looks like he hasn't played a whole lot, but he's here in this game. If Joe here is able to get a hit off Shepard, I don't know what to think. By the way, Tim Shepard's walks per 9 is up to 92. That is probably the most important pitching stat, and that is truly elite. And he's having his best season so far to date. I still feel like he's yet to break out. I mean, at 84 overall with these stats, I don't know. Tim Shepard could be a sneaky, sneaky ace. So a guy at Shepard's level should definitely be able to get a Joe Random out here as that strike 3 right down the middle. Oh, that is hit hard to center field, and the Phillies do get one off of Tim. He's staying in the game, though. McClain down 1-2, and that's strike 3. This is probably the Phillies' best hitter here, Josh Hill. And that's strike 3. I think this might be the first complete game shutout we've seen for Shepard. And the 2 changeup man himself holds on and gets a complete game shutout against a division rival. Tough break here as Soriano's going to be out for 1 to 2 months. I do think he'll be back in time for the playoffs. We're in the middle of August right now, but just unfortunate to lose one of our best hitters. This is where the flexibility of a guy like Chiambi is so huge. If you remember way back in 2027, that was a huge reason why I wanted to draft him, even if he didn't have the highest ceiling. So he could slot over to third, and Thomas Arabu can come in and play outfield, and I'm honestly really impressed. He's actually developed very nicely, 78 overall, having a good season. Versus lefties, though, I've been dying to give Oswald Tejera a shot. Pretty good numbers against lefties, so let's put him into play second base, and we'll move Corey Williams over to third. Curious to see what Tejera can do. He's only gotten 5 games, 15 ABs so far this year. Let's give a little bit of a run here at the end of the season. Now in September, we do take 2 of 3 against the Marlins. Then we played them the next week and split the series 2-2. We remain well ahead of them in the division, but We'll see how the playoffs go. Maybe one of the other teams can knock them out for us as we finish the season 108-54. This is one of the best teams of all time. Simming through October, let's see, and the Cardinals do defeat the Marlins. That's huge for us. Salvatore Soriano's also back off the IL as we get ready for the playoffs, which is huge. Thomas Urabu also developed very nicely to finish off the season, getting more at-bats and had the best hitting season of his career. Let's take a look at the awards, and we got a Hank Aaron Award for Brandon Black. He also got a batting title. Corey Williams was second on MVP to Logan Hanks, another maybe generational player, not sure. Williams finished with a 936 OPS, 556 slug, 31 homers. He's so consistent. Triola got third place for the Cy Young. He just doesn't strike anybody out. Otherwise, he'd be right up there. He had the most wins, second best ERA. And how about Juan Soto still doing it at 36? Maybe it's all these quirks. I mean, he's got the entire list of them. Elvis Tejeda with another Silver Slugger for catcher. That is his second. But if you look up there under his name, his potential went up to A. This guy is just unbelievable. Consistently producing between 4 and even up to 6 WAR. So good. Corey Williams once again with another Silver Slugger. He's won it every single year that he's been in the league. Here's a look at our lineup heading into the postseason. I moved things back around to give us some solid positional flexibility on the bench. And here is our rotation and bullpen. Reynolds is going to be our ace once again, despite having a bit of a down year. He finished the season with a 4.22 ERA, but we know what he's capable of, so I'm going to commit to him being our ace. Queen and Shepard in long relief, Samuel, Donovan, Hamlin, and Valdez in middle relief, and then Rosales, Tumolo, and Meza. Meza had a pretty similar year to last year, 45-6 in his save opportunities. Still got 3 more years on his contract. Rosales had another decent year, but this will be the last season with him. I don't think I'm going to bring him back. So here we go, game 1 of the DS. And we are the number 1 seed, home field advantage once again, and we're rocking the City Connects today. The Cardinals have a pretty good offense with guys like Patrick Parker, a power-hitting outfielder. Look at that defense as well. He's probably playing center. Barton Denny's a pretty solid infielder. Carlos Chacin looks really good. Vision, discipline, and clutch, all above 90. They've also got Carlton English in right field, 2-time All-Star, Gold Glove winner. And on the pitching side, they've got Carlos Chacin, who is a 2-time Cy Young winner, 2-time All-Star, left-hander. He could be a problem. If they have a weakness, it's probably some of the guys in their bullpen, not quite as good as their starting staff. But the Cardinals should be a pretty good test. I still like our odds, especially since it's not the Marlins, as there's a liner to second, and Corey Williams takes care of the first out of the postseason. Reynolds, if you recall, has that cutter-sinker combo that he uses, but there's the curveball for a strikeout. And here is one of the best hitters on the Cardinals, Chacin. And that's strike 3. Good start for Reynolds. Here's Tejeda now, who I mentioned played so well this year. His potential went up to A as he lines one up the middle. That's a base hit. That was 112 off the bat for Tejeda to get us started. So we'll turn it over to Reynolds now, who gives up a run here in the third. Make that 3 runs. It's 3-1 Cardinals. Just hoping that Reynolds can straighten things out here and keep things close for us. We're only down 2. We've got the leadoff man on here in the bottom of the 5th. Good opportunity to cut into this lead. Full count pitch here to Macias, and that's a walk. So great opportunity now. And Leslie Chiambi with the line drive into left. That's going to load the bases. Maybe Elvis Tejeda can come through, as we have got to score some runs here. And that's left right over the heart of the plate. Drilled into the gap and right. It's caught, but that will bring home a run. That got the crowd back into things, as here is Soriano now, but he strikes out. Reynolds is still in it with his 95 stamina. He could definitely keep our bullpen fresh throughout this series, as Roger Vasquez ties things up with a solo shot. Cardinals bring a side armor in here. I can't remember if this is the same guy we saw earlier in this rebuild. Now it's bullpens only, as Michael Rosales comes in for the Nats in the 8th and works a clean inning. Runner on first here for Roger Bermudez as he draws a walk, 2 on. So this is a huge opportunity late in the game. Really good matchup here for Julio Mateo, who drills one back into right field. Second deck and gone. This guy knows how to deliver in the big moment. How many times have we seen this? With a 3-run lead now, Junior Mesa comes in to close things out, and we take game 1 6-3. We would go on to win game 2 9-2, so we've got a good chance to close things out here in St. Louis. So we're heading into game 3 now with a chance to sweep the series. Andy Inman will take the hill for us. Cardinals starter has been struggling to find the zone, and when he has, the ball's been hit pretty hard. But Corey Williams chases below the zone. That will score a run. That'll bring up Roger Vasquez. He may only be 5'7" and 164 pounds, but he packs a punch, especially against lefties. Work to hitters count here, 3-1 pitch, but that's a grounder to third. And now Brandon Black with a 3-run shot in the fourth, and we are up 4-0. Cardinals already go to their bullpen, and Vasquez adds another. That's a solo shot. And we are just pouring it on at this point. 4 singles in a row. It's 7-0. Meanwhile, Andy Inman has been excellent on the mound, only giving up 2 hits. So I am simulating to the end of this game. Willie Samuel comes in and closes things out, and we finish strong, sweeping the Cardinals and winning the last game 14-2. The boys are fired up. We are headed back to the CS. And now for the CS, we will be taking on the Dodgers. The Dodgers won the West. They were 89-73 this year. And if there's any weakness for the Dodgers, it's definitely in their bullpen. They've got several starters up here, 8 starters in the majors, and then the 5 relievers they have do not look that good. They have no closers up, despite having a good, promising prospect here in AAA. I think this will be a pretty good series, but there's no doubt in my mind we are the better team. Hal Nance will be getting the start today. Reynolds was injured during the warm-up, so Nance is coming in his place. And he'll be taking on Roki Sasaki, so gonna be a good challenge today, as that's a beautiful backdoor slider. Nance is probably our most experienced pitcher, as that slider catches a little bit too much plate, but it's gonna stay in the yard, but it's off the wall. That is a lead-off triple for Oneil Cruz. Here's Napoleon Starr. What a cool name. Power-hitting third baseman. Very interesting build here. Similar to our guy Vizcaino from way earlier in this video. And he was a Rookie of the Year this year. If there was one positive about that walk, it does give us an opportunity for a double play, but Starr is going to lazily pop it in the left center. That'll probably bring home a run. So the Dodgers get things started in the first, and now we've got to face Roki. Roki has started to regress a little bit, but still a very good and well-rounded pitcher as he gets Macias to pop out to start the game. We're really going to need a big series here from Williams and Salvatore Soriano, who follows him, our 2 best offensive players, as Williams gets a base hit. It's actually Tejeda that follows Williams. And Tejeda follows Williams with a bomb to center. This guy is electric. We got such a cool view of that from behind home plate, too. I had to see that again. Just launched to center. Back-to-back triples in the bottom of the second. We're up 3-1. Hal Nance starting to run out of energy, but he gets through 5 clean innings. Willie Samuel comes in relief, and look at how well he's developed. We have had him forever, going back to round 4 of 2025. He's got 2 more years left on his $4 million deal, and he's just been so consistent. And this was actually his best year. 2.96 ERA, 82 innings. Love this dude. So he comes in for relief, and he works a clean inning. Now Lincoln Donovan has a clean 7th. We had 2 more runs in the 7th, so I am simming to the end of this game. And we take game 1 7-2. Great start by the team. Andy Inman takes the mound here for game 2. He'll be facing off against Taj Bradley, and Inman had an unbelievable start in his first postseason appearance this year. So hopefully he can follow that up, and we can continue our offensive success here against Taj Bradley. And we've got 2 runners on here for one of the most clutch players. Every time we enter the game, it seems like Julio Mateo has something special to do here. But he strikes out. I jinxed him. Inman going through the order for a second time now, gives up a couple of hits and a walk, and now the bases are loaded and 2 runs come home. And Julio Mateo, he gets a 2-run shot. It's a tie ball game. More trouble now, though, for Inman, and he ends up being taken out of the game, and Rich Hamlin gives up another run. It's 3-2 Dodgers. We turn things over to Willie Samuel, who gives up a solo shot. Now headed into the 9th, we're still down by 2, but we get the leadoff runner on. So let's see if we can mount a comeback here in the bottom of the 9th, as Roger Vasquez drills one to first, and unluckily that'll be a double play. Roger Bermudez trying to get things started again. And he grounds out to short, and the Dodgers will take game 2, evening the series at 1. Still early days in this matchup as we head into LA for the first game, and they end up winning it. And Sasaki's going to take the mound here in game 4. It'll be 2 Cy Young winners facing off head-to-head, as Blake Reynolds will get the start for us. He's back from being injured for a few days. We put up 1 in the top of the 3rd and make that 2. We're off to a nice start. So far, so good for Blake Reynolds, who's only given up 2 hits through 4 innings. And we've got 2 runners on here in the top of the 5th. Macias down 1-2. And he's going to pop out into shallow right. So with 2 outs now, here's Leslie Shiambi. And he also strikes out. That was a good pitch to hit. Blake Reynolds has gotten the better of Sasaki so far, and he's had 5 clean innings, and he also has a ton of energy, so he might be able to go a long way here as Corey Williams adds a solo shot. Dodgers are into their bullpen now as Roosevelt Macias adds a 2-run shot. And Blake Reynolds, though, gives 3 right back. It's 5-3. So we're going to go to our bullpen now that we're in the 8th inning. Michael Rosales comes in, and he has a 3-up, 3-down inning. So here comes Junior Meza, 1 for 1 so far in save opportunities in the postseason. MVP chance for the Dodgers hitter Del Gold here, but he goes down looking. Meza's got Freeland down 1-2, and he strikes him out with the high heater. So just 1 out to get, and it's a name we know, Royce Lewis. And Lewis grounds out the short. Macias over to first, and we even the series back up at 2. So we split the series so far in LA, and we take the 3rd game 7-6. Checking out the box score here, looks like Corey Williams had a 3-run homer. And this game went to 13 innings. Look at all the pitchers here. This is insane. Everybody got in on the action. Headed back home now for Game 6, and we're up 3-2 in the series. Full house here in Washington. There you see the tail of the tape. The teams have gone back and forth, and right now we've got the edge. Andy Inman gets himself warm. He'll be taking the mound today. And we're going to see Taj Bradley once again for the Dodgers. Inman gives up a solo shot to Velito in the first, though, and we're down 1-0. Corey Williams responds with a solo shot of his own in the bottom half of the inning. And we're going back and forth here. A 2-run shot for the Dodgers in the 3rd, and they may not be done here as they add another run. If Inman and the rest of the staff can keep this close, though, I feel like our team has a decent chance, but Royce Lewis extends the lead. And now Soriano responds. It's 5-3. We've been going back and forth. Not a good start from Inman today as we're already into our bullpen, which gives up another run and make that 2 more. Another chance in the bottom of the 8th, though, as the lineup turns over. 2 runners on, 2 outs, tying run at the plate. And Roosevelt Macias drills it, but right to 3rd. And it's not looking too good for us as we lose Game 6, 8-5. We are about to enter the biggest game of this video, Game 7, the decider of the NLCS. It is Sasaki versus Nance. And the winner of this game will face the Texas Rangers in the World Series. Here is the man. He has been lights out so far in the postseason. 11 innings, 2.45 ERA. And we need him to have a great start today, but he walks the leadoff batter, Cruz. Now Cruz is going to go for second, and he's in there safely. And now a ground ball base hit up the middle by DeVries will bring home a run. Nance has bounced back here, getting the next 2 outs, and now he strikes out Gold. Beautiful play here by Macias in the 2nd, ranging to his left, diving, throw is right on target. We are still hitless here now in the bottom of the 3rd. And Mateo draws a walk. That's our first base runner. And Thomas Urabu with a high shot deep into left. That is going to stay in the ballpark and be caught on the warning track. I thought that was going to go. Dodgers extended the lead in the top half of the 4th inning, but we've got 2 runners on in the bottom half. And Roger Vasquez with a high shot deep to left. If it's fair, it's gone, and it is gone. Tie ball game. The little man with a big fly. I said it before, at just 5'7", he packs a punch. We're headed to our bullpen early here. Steve Valdez is coming in the 5th and works a clean inning. We've got the leadoff man now on in the bottom of the 5th. 3-2 pitch to Irabu, and he's going to ground that up the middle. That'll get through. Sasaki's out of the game. Yariel Rodriguez comes in. And this is a huge opportunity for us to take the lead. 2 runners on, nobody out. 2-2 pitch to Macias, and he goes down looking, front door slider. Let's see if Shiambi can fare any better. And he's going to bloop one out into right. That'll fall. Stumbling over there in right. The throw comes home, and it's not in time. Leslie Shiambi comes up big in Game 7. And that'll bring up Corey Williams. And Williams! See ya! Whoa! 115 off the bat. That was a nuke. Game 7 of the NLCS, catches that breaking ball out in front and delivers it into the seats way out of here. Steve Valdez gives one back, but manages to get out of a bases-loaded jam there. Now Rosales comes in and gives up a couple of hits and a walk. So Donovan comes in relief, and the bases are loaded. Would be really tough to give this lead back after that homer by Williams. Del Gold is going to pop that out into foul ground. Will it stay in the yard? It does, but no play. And that's going to be a ground ball to first. Diving play. Throw to second, over to first. Safe at first. Great effort there by Mateo. I thought that ball was going to get by, just not able to double him up, so a run scores. 2 outs now, and Alex Freeland with a line drive. Thank goodness that was foul. Donovan strikes him out. This game is still a little too close for comfort, but as I say that, Thomas Arabu adds a solo shot. So here we go. With a 3-run lead, Junior Meza is coming in the game. The World Series is so close, I could taste it. 1 strike away, Meza delivers, and that's going to be a base hit. 1 strike away, Meza delivers, and that is murdered. The Dodgers will not go down quietly. That was a nuke. And now I am officially concerned. And there it goes. Del Gold into the night sky. Meza blows it. Unbelievable. You just cannot leave a fastball at 92 right over the middle of the plate. My goodness. So we turn to Rich Hamlin to try to get out of this inning, but he gives up a line drive out into left. That's going to be extra bases. This is starting to remind me of the playoff troubles that we had in the Rays series, as the bullpen consistently blew it, but finally we're going to get out of it. This has been an exciting game, but I really wish it wasn't that exciting at the end and we could have just closed it out quietly. Can the offense pick up the bullpen? Tejadas just struck out on a pitch that hit him. It's all falling apart. Does Soriano have any fireworks planned in the bottom of the 9th? He does. That's going to be lined into right, and that'll be extra bases. Roger Vasquez, 2 for 4 today, and he smokes it! A walk-off homer! Come on! From the jaws of defeat, we pull out a victory, and the fireworks go off in center. Roger Vasquez, Game 7 NLCS hero. And for the first time after 11 years, a team of Joe Randoms from year 1 turned into one of the best offenses the game has ever seen, is headed to the World Series. Whew, that got me up out of my seat. I got a little bit excited there. That was awesome, and I'm very thrilled that we are headed to the World Series when we will take on the Rangers. And unfortunately, we will be doing it without Blake Reynolds, who tore a finger ligament. He'll be out for a couple of months. The good news is that we've got a lot of depth in our starting rotation, as well as 2 very good long relievers that can come in if needed. I had absolutely no clue who was on the Rangers. I can't remember seeing them at all during this rebuild, and the first guy I see here is a generational center fielder, Dave Walters. He's a 6-time All-Star, 4-time Silver Slugger, and a Rookie of the Year back in 2027. And take a look at this contract. Infinity years, $43.4 million. This is why I signed so many of our good players so early. They've also got a really, really good starter here, Thomas Chan. He's won 2 Cy Youngs, including this year. Jackson Holliday and Marcelo Meyer are on this team, 2 great young players in real life. They've also got Ethan Salas and a 35-year-old Spencer Torkelson. And unfortunate for them, but lucky for us, one of their good starters is also going to be out for the World Series. But I have to admit, besides Thomas Chan, there's nobody else in the pitching rotation that really scares me. And frankly, they've only got one good relief pitcher, Adrian Ramirez. They do have a solid closer, Bobby McHenry, who was 58-8 this year, but he did have a 4.54 ERA. Here we go. Rangers, Nats, it's the World Series. Both teams won their respective divisions this year, but the Rangers had 91 wins while the Nationals had 108. None of that matters, though, if you can't do it when it matters most. And here is Tim Shepard. He is going to start for us. It's a rainy day in Washington for Game 1. And Marcelo Meyer starts things off with a grounder to third, 1 away. Now very much a veteran here is Jackson Holliday at the plate. Holliday in the 12th year of his career, but he swings at the high heat. 88 was enough to go by him. 3-2 pitch now to Dave Walters, and that's a walk. Facing a power bat here, Christopher Morel, who grounds it to first, and a nice pick over there. Beautifully done by Julio Mateo at first. That was a hot shot. And now we will face the 92 overall starter, Thomas Chan, Cy Young winner this year. He reminds me of a lot of our starters, but just better. He doesn't have a lot of velo, but he limits walks and hits, and he's got a lot more control than most of our guys. I know the games against Chan are going to be a challenge, so hopefully we can keep it close and at least get some victories off of the other pitchers as that liner's caught. So we're scoreless through 3 innings as Tim Shepard is not allowed to hit now through 4. And Roger Vasquez gets us on the board with a solo shot. Mike Tumolo is going to stay in to work the 9th. And I just noticed this about Tumolo, but if a runner is on second, you can pretty easily see the grip of whatever pitch he's throwing in his hand. We might need to work on that a little bit, Mike. Let's see if Bermudez can do anything here. And he's going to line that into right. That's a fair ball. And that is headed all the way into the corner. The throw is coming in, and that'll be a double for Bermudez. And Julio Mateo is here, and we know what he can do in a big moment. 1-2 pitch, and he chases that. Whoa. So we're headed into extras now, and Tumolo still has a lot of energy, but he gives up a 2-run shot. And now Willie Samuel gives up another 2-run bomb. It's 5-1. So with that, I'm simming to the end of this game, and the Rangers defeat us 5-1. You never know what can happen on any given night. I definitely feel like our bullpen is the better of the 2 teams, but they didn't show it in Game 1. So we're looking for a bounce back here in Game 2, but Marcelo Mayo starts the game off with a solo homer. And now we take the lead. Brandon Black is back and making his presence known as now we walk in another run. And Hal Nance has been pretty good so far, but he gives up a solo homer to Christopher Morel. And it looks like the Rangers starter is already out of the game. And as I mentioned, I do like our bullpen better than theirs. Soriano adds a solo homer, and now a triple, a single, and a barrage of hits. It's 7-2. And we would continue to add more runs and hold the Rangers to just 2. That is a W in Game 2. Now after an off day, we head to Texas and lose the first game. The top of the lineup for the Rangers absolutely dominating us during this game. These guys have combined for 15 hits. And we would end up getting absolutely smoked in Game 4, losing 13-3. And I'm not feeling super great after that last game. We're down 3-1 in the series. And quite frankly, this rebuild has taken me a very long time in real life, so I would really like to have a miracle comeback here as Roosevelt Macias starts off Game 5 with a shot into the gap. Now Tejeda's down 1-2, and he strikes out, so we're not able to plate that leadoff double as a run. And if you can't tell by my voice, I'm pretty frustrated right now because we were by far the best team in the league this year, and now we get to the postseason, and we're definitely not playing like it. And we do get on the board with a 2-run shot here in the 4th. And Tim Shepard has been really good this postseason, 16 innings with just a 1 ERA, but the bases are loaded here in the bottom of the 4th, and he walks in a run. Marcelo Meyer ties the game with a solo shot. The Rangers are into their bullpen now, and there's 2 on for Roger Bermudez, who lines one but right to second base. Christopher Morel gives the Rangers the lead here with a solo shot, and Rich Hamlin comes in. And Hamlin immediately gives up another run. It is 4-2. We have out-hit the Rangers, but those hits have not translated into as many runs. And time is running out for the Nationals as we are in the top of the 9th, still down 2. And now down to our final strike. Julio Mateo at the plate, and he is going to ground that to second base, Holliday to first, and the Rangers win the World Series. Well, as I said a little bit earlier, that was really frustrating. I've been filming this over many weeks, and I felt like this was our best chance. Shohei Ohtani and Bryce Harper are both retiring, and they are Hall of Fame inductees. We will have to hire a new manager and pitching coach for this next season. And this video does not end until we win a World Series, so there's only one thing to do. Try again. And as I mentioned heading into that last season, there's a couple guys who are becoming free agents this year, and I don't know if I'm going to bring them back. They're going to be very expensive, and we might have other options. And I decided to let all three of those guys walk. Hal Nance was looking for about $27 million per year. He's been pretty solid for us, but it's not like he's been lights out. Here you see Michael Rosales. He is the number one closer available on the board. He's been pretty solid for us, but he wanted $15 million per year. And he's reached his max potential already. So I'm calling up Nick Story, who is going to be Michael Rosales too. And he's got a ton of room for growth with a potential very similar build. We still got Junior Meza to close, and then Rich Hamlin's still getting better, and he'll be our high-leverage lefty. I also let Clemente Davila walk. He doesn't have much positional flexibility. His fielding and reaction isn't that great at first base. I do like his stats versus lefties, but he really never quite found it for us at the plate. He was consistent, but with his defense not being that good, he's barely a break-even player. I decided to lock down Rich Hamlin for the long haul. I gave him 6 years at $12 million per year. Really solid lefty. Have a lot of faith in him. Also offered 2 more years to Julio Mateo. He finally hit his stride last year with an 813 OPS, and he put up 3.4 WAR. And the plan will be to have him play first base every day. And I also want to bring Roosevelt Macias back for that infield flexibility. The defense isn't great, but the hitting stats are really good, and he was an all-star. So I'm trying to give him 1 year at 6.3. Michael Rosales is going to the Phillies. 2 years, $15 million a year, and that's in our division. Our guy, Hal Nance, is headed to the Mariners, 3 years, $29 million. And I really didn't expect us to be going this long in this rebuild. Definitely facing some setbacks here along the way. So it's a good thing I was planning for that just in case. Here's a look at our lineup. Pretty much the exact same as last year. We continue to have some good flexibility on the bench. One rookie here, Boyce Obama. It'll be his first season. He did take 3 or 4 at-bats last year, but he's got some good infield flexibility and decent hitting stats. It does say Oswaldo Tejera's a rookie, but in my mind, not exactly. He's really here to hit lefties, and he can only play second base, so not super useful for us. But he might be able to at least pinch hit, and then we've got Thomas Arabu coming back as our outfield flex, and then Miguel Vega Romas, who was eligible for arbitration, so he's got $3.2 million this year, but he's going to be our backup catcher. Great defensive stats, pretty solid offense. Just took him a while to be major league ready. Not super relevant at this point, but we do continue to have a very solid farm system. Ronaldo Baca's here as our number 1 just because his potential's so high. He is a closer. Simon Struder is our highest ranked position player, and then our highest ranked starter is Brian Warner, who someday is going to be very, very good. He's probably only 1 year away. This is why I didn't really need to sign guys like Hal Nance. So here we go for another season, and once again, we're ranked first in contact, pitching, 9th in power, 16th in defense, so we improved a little bit there, and then 11th in speed. I think the team's only got better. I don't know if we'll get 108 wins, but we're definitely going to be a force to be reckoned with once again. We have approached the All-Star break. We are ranked first at 62 and 35, 5 games up on the Marlins and 7 up on the Phillies. Pretty good race in the division so far, 4 really good teams. Our power ranking has also gone up a bunch. We are 3rd in power. Looking at the All-Star board here, 5 of the 10 players are from our team. Vasquez, Soriano, Tejeda, Williams, and Mateo. And if you can believe it, Eloy Calzado, who I released, got in as a starter. And there you see it. He is 8-2 with a 2 ERA. So, yeah, I don't know. I never thought he was going to be good. I was wrong. Michael Rosales is also here as a reliever who I did not re-sign. Corey Williams is going absolutely insane. 3.54 average, 4.44 on base, 7.08 slugging for a 1.1 OPS. These are literally Aaron Judge numbers. He's got 28 homers at the break. The most he's ever had in a season is 36. And he already has 7.4 WAR, which is kind of his going rate for average for a whole season. So needless to say, he is by far the front runner for MVP, and in second place is Salvatore Soriano. As far as some of our other guys, Julio Mateo got his contract and then started balling out. We signed him for 2 years, $13 million. He's having the best year of his career, 8.75 OPS. Vasquez, Tejeda, and Black have all been pretty solid. Not their best seasons, but pretty good. Vasquez is continuing to develop well. He's up to 91 overall. I believe his potential was 94, so he's getting close. And while I'm at it, Soriano's up to a 95. We know that he's generational. He's getting closer and closer to 99. Definitely our worst player is Miguel Vega Ramos, the backup catcher. He is just not hitting well at all, but he's really there for his defense. And we've got our guy Tejeda anyway, so we don't necessarily need him. As far as our starters, Blake Reynolds has found his form again, back down to similar numbers from his Cy Young season, 2.60 ERA. So he might be in line for a decent-sized contract here, as I believe he is up for arbitration. Yeah. Tim Shepard's having a really good year. Also continuing to develop nicely. I think he might be pushing past his ceiling a little bit here. 86 overall now, having the best year of his career. He was kind of due for this. He's got the stats to be unbelievable. Triola, Queen, and Inman have all been decent to above average. Willie Samuel's been our best relief pitcher, and he's just been a stalwart of our team. 2.44 ERA this year, just keeps getting better. Probably the biggest disappointment has been Junior Meza. He is 19-8 in his save opportunities with a 4.89 ERA. So I actually moved the lefty Rich Hamlin into that role, and he's 5-3. Not enough data yet, really, but he's having a much better year, developing nicely. Also signed him long-term, so we're going to go with him as a closer this year. We'll see how that goes. The rookie Nick Story has been excellent, 2.44 ERA in 48 innings. And there you have it. We finished the season 107-55, 1 win short of last year. Taking a look at the awards, and Blake Reynolds wins his second Cy Young. Corey Williams wins the Hank Aaron as well as the MVP. Williams also got a batting title, and he got the Triple Crown. That is unbelievable. But it totally makes sense. I mean, look at these numbers. 3.54 average, 46 homers, 144 RBIs. This is probably, actually, definitely the best season I have ever had of any player I've ever drafted. 12.3 WAR. This is one of the best seasons of all time. You now have to scroll down on his awards page as he adds a home run champion and also gets his first MVP. And Salvatore Soriano came in second place. Look at that development. He's 97 overall now, almost pushing to his ceiling. Best offensive season of his career, 8.1 WAR. Amazing that Blake Reynolds won another Cy Young here. That is just incredible. I think he's earned himself a long-term deal if we end up needing to do it. That 1-2 punch of Williams and Soriano in our lineup is absolutely insane. I mean, just look at the numbers between them as I flip back and forth. Truly unbelievable. It does not get any better than this. Corey Williams led the league in pretty much every single statistic. Home runs, doubles, RBIs, batting average, hits, you name it. And as I said before, this is legitimately one of the greatest seasons of all time. So that is pretty cool to see. A couple other guys to shout out here. Macias, Vasquez, Tejeda, Mateo, all pretty solid. Besides Reynolds, Tim Shepard was unbelievable. Triola, LeBlanc, and Inman were all okay. Willie Samuel was our best reliever. He's just blown way past his ceiling, to be honest with you. I think he had, I don't even remember if he had B potential when we drafted him. Rich Hamlin ended up being pretty solid as our closer, 26-6. Meza also improved as the year went on, got his ERA down to 3.9. Most impressive, though, was definitely our rookie, Nick Story. He looks amazing. He was 4-7. I didn't have him in the closing role at all, but I guess he did it anyway at some point. But 2.10 ERA and .89 whip is unbelievable. We were definitely the unanimous best team, but the second best team was actually the Royals. Check that out, 99-63. So after running through all that, you see in front of you the bracket, and we will be playing the winner of Atlanta and Miami, one of two division rivals. I hope it's Atlanta, but either way, we're going to have to win that series and 2 more if we're going to get our World Series finally. Another year, another playoff run, and the Braves defeated the Marlins, so that is who we will be taking on in the DS. Blake Reynolds taking the mound in the City Connects. 2-time Cy Young winner, including this past season. And not only is he hot heading into this game, pretty much our entire lineup, like 6 of the guys, had the little fire symbol heading into the game, so I'm feeling pretty good about our chances. And right away in the first, we've got 2 on with nobody out for Corey Williams. And Corey goes down looking. Here's Soriano now, and he strikes out. So our 2 best hitters couldn't find anything. Let's see if Vasquez can drive in a run, but he is going to fly out to center. The Braves had 89 wins this year. They have a pretty solid lineup overall. Their best player is Sean Pack. He was an athletic out of the gates and then signed with the Braves a few seasons ago. They also have Wyatt Langford, who's a name we know, and then they have this guy Danny Nix, who's 88 overall, really solid first baseman. They have a couple of really good relievers, Oliver Cabral and Sam Ullman, both look insane. And their best pitcher is Mauricio Mota. Very good stats. This is a guy that I would love to have on our team. We get on the board with the Tejeda solo shot. Who else would it be but Tejeda in the second inning here? And so far, so good for Blake Reynolds one time through the order. And now Corey Williams with a long drive in the left. That's a 2-run shot. Did we see a lot of that this year, having one of the best seasons of all time and now carrying it over into the postseason? We need him to be a stud. Reynolds does give a couple back, but we immediately score again here in the 5th. We head to our bullpen, and Nick Story, the rookie, immediately gives up a 3-run homer. It's tied in game 1. But we get one back on a Sciambi single. And now Meza comes in and gives up a 2-run shot. We're down 1 now. And this game has gone back and forth, but we end up losing 7-6. I really thought we were going to have that one. We would go on to lose game 2, 2-6, so we've now got to win the next 3 in order to stay alive. So here we are for game 3, and as I mentioned, we will need to win the next 3 games in a row in order to stay alive. We do get on the board early with a couple runs in the first 2 innings. And now Brandon Black adds a 2-run shot. It's up to Freddie Triola on the mound today, but he walks in a run but manages to get out of the second. But now more trouble here in the third as a sac fly brings home another run. And this Braves offense keeps putting a lot of pressure on Triola, and there's a 2-run homer from Nix. It's tied. So we're now all the way into the 9th in an all-too-familiar situation, 3 outs away from being eliminated. Payoff pitch here to Roger Vasquez, and he pops it up on the infield. And now Julio Mateo with a line drive out into left. That's back to the wall, and it's off the wall. So we've got a heartbeat here, a double for Mateo, runner in scoring position. So a 3-2 pitch now to Sciambi. And he lines it up the middle for a base hit. We're tied. And now Roger Bermudez is hit by the pitch, so 2 runners on with 1 out. 2 runners on, count full now to Brandon Black, who is one of the most experienced players on this team. But he strikes out. So Junior Mesa will have to keep this thing tied to the 9th. And he'll be facing the top of the lineup. And right away, Cole Young on the first pitch walks it off. And if I thought last year was frustrating, this is so much worse. By far the best team in the entire league once again, and we get bounced in the DS. Not only bounced, we get swept. The Guardians defeat the Braves in the 2036 World Series, and I'm officially getting frustrated. I don't know what more I need to do here. I've been filming this for so long. Might need to take a little bit of a break. Well, after yet another devastating loss, the only thing we can do is try to speed through another regular season and get back to the playoffs. I do want to show you, though, that this next season is definitely the end of an era, and we've got plenty of great guys who can come in and fill in after this, but we're going to be losing many of our players, including Triola, Meza, Mateo, Arabu, Shepard, Bermudez, Sciambi, Tomolo. I mean, a pretty long list of guys that I signed through 2037 here that are all going to be coming up. So I really feel like we need to win it this year. I do think we'll be still good and playoff level going into future seasons, but we're going to be losing quite a few guys. As far as backup plans, I have no concerns at all. On the pitching side, we've got 3 great starters who are pretty much MLB ready but are still in AAA. And even further down the line, we've got a guy like Ryan Lantico who could come up. I also made a couple of our starters, relievers, Steve Valdez and Phil Wells. I have no concerns with closers, plenty of those guys coming up, and I also signed a long-term deal for Nick Story. We've still got plenty of runway here with Tejada's contract. We've got quite a few middle infielders here. Angelis, Odom, Struder, all these guys are a couple of years away. Frank Shedd could come up at any point if needed. His stats are fine. The defense isn't great, but I'm not too worried about our middle infield. But ultimately, my point here is that I really want to win soon. Not just for how much time I've spent on this, but also because the roster is going to shuffle quite a lot. Really, the main guy that we lost this past season was Willie Samuel. He has been an absolute stud for us. He gave us 8 really good years, 7 really good years of like a 3.3 ERA in the bullpen, and his most recent years were his best years. But in his age 32 season, he is going to be a Guardian. So we're back for yet another season, 2037. Unbelievable how much time's gone by. Throughout this video, we are once again ranked first in contact and pitching, 6th in power, 3rd in speed, and we actually moved up into the top half of the league in defense. One new face in the lineup is center fielder Carlos Enriquez. He has been in our system for quite a while, started as a low overall, so he'll be coming in to be a outfield option off the bench. As far as our lineup, looks very, very similar. I'm interested to see how Corey Williams does this year, coming off of one of the greatest seasons of all time, putting up 12.3 WAR. Familiar faces here throughout the rotation. Chad LeBlanc is going to get a starting role this year. He was in the long relief role last year. I really like his stats. I think he's going to be very solid for us. And then I think we have one other new face. Yeah, Johnny Blanco here in the bullpen's coming up. Again, very good stats. Lefty. Yeah, feeling really good. Nick Story's going to close. We'll see how this season's go. I'll probably see you at the All-Star break. I'll tell you what felt really good. This 4-game sweep of the Marlins. I've been kind of down about this series, but that just made me feel a lot better. For our first round pick this year, I really wanted Ricky Mott. Looks like a fantastic outfielder, great defense. I would have made him a center fielder, but he got taken right before us. So our first round pick is going to be catcher Alfonso Alonso. Looks really solid. There's been a ton of good catchers in this class, and I'll show you the rest of the class later on when we take a look at him. Here at the All-Star break, once again, Nationals are spread all over the field. It's showing Freddie Triola there in the middle for pitcher, but I don't see him on here. I also moved him to long relief just now because he actually is starting to regress, which is good timing for us because our contract is out this year. He's still pitching extremely well, though. He is deserving of being an all-star. Junior Meza is in for closing pitchers. He's not closing this year. He's in more of a high-leverage role, but he's having a great season, 1.91 ERA. This is his fourth all-star appearance. Unfortunately, Tejeda did not make it in for catcher, which surprises me. He's been really consistently an all-star. Julio Mateo did make it for first base, his second in a row. He is really a late bloomer, honestly. He has kind of mid-offensive stats in the beginning and has really turned into a great offensive weapon for us. Corey Williams, of course, is there for second base. He's not having as crazy of a season as last year, but still pretty solid. Soriano is here for third base. He is up to 98 overall, one away from his max potential, and he's really starting to round out his hitting skills in the low 900s for OPS, and I wouldn't be surprised if he broke out and had a season someday like Corey Williams had last year. Macias is here for shortstop, 76 overall, back to, 2 out of the last 3 years, all-star, really impressive. Roger Vasquez for left field, he's up to 93 overall, having a pretty good year. I know he can hit better than that, but he is very consistent. And here's a look at all of our position players ordered by OPS. Soriano, Williams at the top, and then I'm surprised to see Carlos Enriquez, who's a rookie this year. Well, I guess he's still a rookie. He did play a little bit last year, but despite being 72 overall, he is really impressive at the plate, and he's got some speed, getting better and better in the outfield. He's still got a much higher ceiling. Here's a look at our starters. Buddy Queen has the lowest ERA. He was in long relief, and I just switched him with Freddie Triola, as Triola, as I mentioned, is starting to regress a little bit, so I moved him to long relief. Reynolds is having a decent year, not Cy Young level, and then Shepard, Inman, and LeBlanc are all low 4 ERA, not great. The rookie Blanco has been our best relief pitcher. He's probably going to be a long-term guy on this team. Really, really solid. And looking at the squad, we have taken over first place from the Braves. We're 64-32. We've honestly been really, really solid the last couple of months. We got off to a bit of a slow start, but May and June, we were very impressive. A lot of green on the screen here. And after just recording that clip, we rattled off a bunch of wins in a row. Then we did lose 3 straight, but we finished the month of July 75-35, 10.5 games up. We are on fire right now. Now it's time to take a look at our draft class, and our first round pick, potential's not super high, but a very solid, well-rounded catcher. Will definitely need to develop the defense a little bit. 20-year-old Alonso here. He'll probably be MLB ready in a couple seasons. We've got another catcher in the farm system who I believe is 71 overall. We did come away with a couple of good bullpen arms. Andrew Gerber, who looks pretty solid, 18 years old, a potential 62 overall. And then Mike Washington was a discovery guy, left-hander. Clutch is not good at all, but he would make a decent middle relief pitcher if we can develop that a little bit. The hits per 9 and the walks per 9, very solid. Anyway, let's finish out this season, and I will see you when it's time for the playoffs. And after 2 great final months of the season, we finished 111-51, our best record so far in this video. And at the end of the year, we swept Miami and took 2 out of 3 from Atlanta. And those were both teams that were right behind us in the standings. The Braves and the Marlins were once again very good. The Braves actually really impressive, almost getting to 100 wins, but we're still well behind us, 14 games, in fact. We do have some awards here. Let's see what we got. A Hank Aaron for Corey Williams and another MVP for Mr. Corey Williams. He also got a batting title. And just look at this screen right here. The 3 best players in the National League were all on our team. If that doesn't tell the story, I don't know what does. Corey did not reach the heights of last season, but of course was not expecting him to do that, but still had a 968 OPS and another 9 WAR season. He's up to 62 WAR. Unbelievable. Mike Trout level stuff here. The awards page is pretty much a novel at this point, and he's back-to-back MVP. We also had 2 of our pitchers come close in the Cy Young, and both these guys weren't that great throughout most of the season and then really turned it on towards the end of the season, especially Blake Reynolds. He'll probably be our ace again for this postseason. Tim Shepard really went out with a bang in what will be probably his last year. This is the end of his contract, and we've got some really good pitchers coming up if we need them. There is one guy that I need to highlight in an unfortunate way, though. Brandon Black has started to regress. These stats look like someone who's starting to regress. He's 30 years old. It feels a little bit early, only 8 years in the league. One issue is that we've got him signed for 3 more years, so could become a problem. All 3 of our stud closing pitchers were fantastic. This is Mesa's last year. He's actually starting to regress a little bit, so kind of good timing with the contract. And then the guy that I had closing for us this year was Nick Story. I also signed him for a long-term deal, and he was 42-7. Not too bad for his first time being a closer. Once again, we're the best team in the league by far, and now we've got to do it in the postseason. We will be taking on the winner of the Atlanta and Miami series. Stop me if I've said that before. So here is our pitching staff for the playoffs. Reynolds, Shepard, LeBlanc, and Queen in that order for the starters. Inman and Valdez in long relief, and then an absolute murderer's row of guys in the bullpen. Here is our lineup, pretty much the same as the entire year. Once again, absolute murders a row. Back-to-back generational players in the 2 and 3 is disgusting. We actually got one new face in here, which is Michael Odom, and I brought him up for his positional flexibility. This guy's still a long ways away from his ceiling. Kind of a long-term growth profile similar to Vega Romas, our backup catcher, but I want him up here just to be able to fill in, help us be able to pinch hit, move guys around. Feel like that's important. And the table is set. We will be taking on our biggest rival, the Miami Marlins. It's very close, but I think we have a slight edge in terms of starting pitching. No doubt we have an edge in the bullpen, but interestingly enough, they actually have Justin Martinez. This is a guy we know. He's 35 years old. He's definitely regressing quite a bit. Did not save this year, but in the most recent season that he did for Miami, he was 49-3, which is unbelievable. So here we go for game 1 of the NLDS, and we have home field advantage as some choppers fly overhead. And a guy we know very well at this point, the 2-time Cy Young winner, Blake Reynolds, takes the mound. Hoping that Reynolds can lead us to victory today as he has a good start here. This Nationals crowd desperately wants to see a World Series for their team as Reynolds strikes out the next batter. But the third batter gets a base hit up the middle. But the next batter grounds to Corey Williams. Nice play to second, and Reynolds is out of the first. Marlins starter will be Albert Vina. Pretty solid year. Doesn't strike many guys out. Doesn't walk many guys. Pretty similar to most of our pitching staff. We get things started, though, with a Tejeda solo shot in the second. That's a 1-0 lead. So far, so good for Blake Reynolds, who's pitched 4 scoreless innings. And Julio Mateo in the bottom of the 4th extends the lead with a moonshot. Do not hang some cheese over the middle to Mateo. Bases loaded in the bottom of the 5th for Elvis Tejeda, who drills one into the right center field gap. Get down. Oh, that's caught. Lincoln Donovan in to close things out in the 9th, and we cruise to an 8-0 victory over the Marlins. So a dominating victory in Game 1, and we go on to win Game 2, lose Game 3, so we're heading into Game 4, really looking to close things out here. Marlins started today as Seamus Alvarado, who is 85 overall, but didn't have the best of seasons. 4.21 ERA, not great. 1-2 pitcher to Vasquez in the first, who's going to ground that to short. That might be a double play. And it is. So here is Buddy Queen. Fantastic season, 139 innings, 2.14 ERA. Queen features 2 fastballs, a 4-seam and a 2-seam, and 2 changeups, a regular one and a splitter. And he's got the leadoff batter down 1-2, and that's going to be grounded up the middle, off of Queen, over to first, not in time for Mateo. And Queen now 1 strike away from a clean first. And there it is. Julio Mateo leads off the second. And he absolutely drills one, but that's pulled foul. Elvis Tejeda now in the top of the second. Lines one up the left field line. That should be extra bases. And that's a 1-out double for the catcher. Good piece of hitting here, just taking it the opposite way. Here's the 1-2, and that's grounded up the right side, but playable for the second baseman. Marlins get on the board first with a solo shot in the second. But we respond right away. Thomas Arabu in the 9-hole with a solo shot of his own. And now Queen gives up another solo shot. It's going back and forth here. But that's not good. A 2-run homer for English. Both teams' bullpens have gone back and forth, but we were not able to put up any runs and lose 4-1. That makes me pretty nervous for Game 5, the decider. We have been eliminated early in the playoffs way too many times. We have to win this game. The good news is we're headed back home and our ace takes the mound. Reynolds works a clean first inning. Here's Vasquez now. 2-2 pitch and he strikes out, so both teams put up zeros in the first. And we need to rally behind Reynolds today, who's off to a great start. Corey Williams gets us on the board with a solo homer. And now we add another one in the 4th, and another. It's 3-0. And Reynolds is still in this game in the 7th, and he's only given up 1 run on 3 hits. We've got a chance to ice this game in the 7th, but Soriano strikes out. We've seen too much of that. Whenever we're in the quick menu is when we seem to score our runs, as I might have to just stay there for the rest of this game. Blake Reynolds with an ace-level start today. 8 innings, only giving up 1 run, and we turn it over to the young closer, Nick Story, who gets the first batter to ground out. Just 2 outs away from moving on to the CS, as there's another ground ball off Story, sticks with it and makes the play. 1 strike away from another berth in the CS, and there it is. Junior Mesa closes it out, and we take down the Marlins. So we are back and heading to the NLCS, taking on the Cardinals. Some of their best position players are Jeff Landgraf here, a young second baseman, Chris Varquette at third, and then their highest overall player is an outfielder named Patrick Parker. So we'll see how we stack up against the Cardinals here at night. Once again, home field advantage for the Nationals. The veteran Tim Shepard will take the mound. He had a great start in the DS. So let's see how we stack up against the Cardinals. They had 90 wins this year compared to our 111. And Tim Shepard gets the first out. Incredible batting stance here from Jeff Landgraf, who goes down looking. Here's Varquette now, and he's going to draw a walk. Shepard having a little bit of trouble finding the zone here in the first as he leaves that one down the middle, but it's a pop-up out in the left. And there is Trevor Rogers. And that is drilled. First batter of the series, Brandon Black, to the wall, and it's caught. That had that perfect sound off the bat. I thought for sure that was getting out of here, as now Corey Williams strikes out. Trying to get something started here in the first, but Soriano's going to ground out, so both teams scoreless through 1. Ahead to the bottom of the third now, where we have 2 runners on for Brandon Black, who hit it hard the first time up. He's at a 2-2 count, and he slaps that one in the left. Stay fair. It does. That'll bring home 1 run, and the runners move station to station. First and second, still nobody out. Corey Williams now gets a hanging curveball, drills that deep into left. Does it have the carry? No, another one to the wall. Soriano at the plate now, and he gets a hanging curveball, but it's going straight to first, to second for 1, back to first, and we do get 1, but the Cards get out of it. Tim Shepard working with a slight lead now, gets a double play after walking the leadoff batter in the 4th, and he's continuing to pitch well until he gives up a solo shot. I jinxed him. But we're back with another opportunity in the bottom of the 5th. 2 on, nobody out. Arabu at the plate, and he draws a walk, bases loaded. And here's Black once again. He's seen the ball well today. Home crowd on their feet as Black grounds one up the middle. That'll get through. Throw to the plate's not in time. 2-run score. And this is where we can really look to add on. The Cardinals' bullpen is decent, but nowhere near as good as ours. So here's Corey Williams at the plate, and he's going to ground that to second. That's probably going to be a double play. Definitely not what we were looking for there in that big spot with 2 on and nobody out. Can Soriano push another run across for us? He cannot. Well, we maintain a 2-run lead as both teams are now into their bullpens. And we're ahead to the 9th, still up 2, but the tying run is at the plate. And that's going to be a ground ball through the right side. Throw is cut off, and that's going to be a run for the Cardinals. It's 3-2. Lawler advanced to second on a wild pitch, and now that's a ground ball to third. Soriano handles that, 2 away. 1-2 now to Cuero, and that's going to be a ground ball. Shortstop. Throw to first is in time, and we take game 1. The rookie Chad LeBlanc starts game 2, and we win another close one, 2-1. And now I simulate games 3 and 4, which we lose, so the series is tied up. Everything's been close so far. Nobody's run away with the game yet. So this is a swing game here in St. Louis, and Hinosa takes the mound for the Cardinals. Hinosa's yet another good starting pitcher that the Cardinals have. He's got a 3.26 career ERA and about 600 innings. Very solid. Corey's had a pretty quiet postseason so far, batting just 176, but he draws a walk. And I could say the same about Soriano, who's batting just 182 as Williams is going for second, and he's in there. And Soriano drills one through the left side. Maybe that's the start of things turning around for him at the plate. Williams heads home, and we're up 1-0 in the first. That was 117 off the bat. Roger Vasquez at the plate has been hot this postseason. He has very good stats against left-handed pitching, but he's going to pop out. Another cornerstone piece of our franchise, Tejeda's been swinging a cold bat, and this time he doesn't swing it at all. Goes down looking. But I always like putting up some runs in the first, and now Tim Shepard will be working with an early lead. And so far he's kept the Cardinals scoreless through 4. But they do tie it up in the 5th with a walk and a double. But we haven't been able to do really anything since the first inning. Here's our best chance since the first inning. 2 runners on with 2 outs for Bermudez. He's quickly down in the count 1-2, and he's going to ground that over to second, and the Cardinals get out of it. So it's another low-scoring pitchers duel here in this series. And Soriano in the top of the 9th hits a solo shot to give us the lead. I wish I entered the game for that one. And that one too, Tejeda doubles the lead with a solo shot of his own. So we put up 2 quickly in the top of the 9th, and now we have a chance to close it out with Nick Story on the mound. So with 2 outs, here's the 2-2 pitch to Denny, who reaches and strikes out. We win Game 5 and take a 3-2 series lead. And with that, we head back to Washington with a chance to get a World Series bid for the second time this video. Our best young pitcher, Chad LeBlanc, takes the mound here. And if this rebuild was to go out into the far future, LeBlanc would be our best up-and-coming pitching prospect, and he also has a lot of velo as well, 97 on the heater. This entire series has really been a pitcher's duel, as there's another strikeout. Stefan Gomez is the Cardinals starter for Game 6. And out of all the starters the Cardinals have, this is probably their worst, and he's still pretty good. Here's Soriano in the bottom of the first, and he drills one way back into right, and that is caught on the wall. How many times have we seen that? And unfortunately, Chad LeBlanc just got injured in the second inning, straining his abdominal. And this is where having a good depth in the pitching staff comes into play in the postseason, as now Andy Inman is able to take over in long relief. Inman's got Landgraf down 1-2. This is a big pitch, and that's going to be grounded to first. That could be a double play. To second for 1, over to first, and we got it. Corey Williams gets us on the board in the 4th with a solo shot. That was our first hit of the game. Switch hitter Tejeda batting from the left side. And he's going to smoke that into left, but it's just foul. Here's the 2-2 pitch now, and that is smoked right back up the middle. Tejeda drives in another run, and we're up 2-0. And we may not be done yet as Roger Bermudez drills one into left center. Diving play is not made, and that's going to bounce over the wall. And despite a great attempt from the center fielder there, that is going to plate another run. Look at that dive. And now the bases are loaded for Jeff Landgraf with 1 out. Landgraf is going to fly that one out into right, but that's probably going to be deep enough to score another run. Mesa trying to limit the damage here as one of the Cardinals' best hitters comes to the plate, and he strikes out on the high heat. So Nick Story is coming in with a chance to send us back to the World Series. A 3-run cushion here for Nick Story, and he strikes out Jordan Lawler. Now Dylan Cruz absolutely smokes one out into left. That is out of here for a home run. It's 5-3. Don't need to see any more of that, as here's a 1-2 pitch to Cuero, who's going to fly out over to first. And just 1 strike away from going back to the World Series, as there's a ground ball to short. Diving play cannot be made. I'm a little nervous now, as that brings the tying run to the plate. But that's strike 3! The Nationals are National League champions and are headed back to the Fall Classic. So we take down the Cardinals and will now be facing the Kansas City Royals in the World Series. This is the matchup that would have been expected for this season, as the Royals had the second most wins this year with 97. Kansas City's another team with a good pitching staff, and it looks like they might even have a generational talent here. 21-year-old, 94 overall. They've also got a pretty good closer in Matthew Kirk, but their best offensive player is 86 overall, the rookie third baseman Robert Betty. So the table is set. Let's see if this is our year, finally. Here we go. Royals, Nationals. It is Game 1 of the World Series. Blake Reynolds will take the mound today. But the Royals begin to rally in the first inning. The bases are loaded, 2 outs. And here's a 3-1 pitch to Morgan, who grounds that to second base, and we get out of it. Royal starter is Archie Henson, 2-time Cy Young winner. Reynolds and Henson, both 2-time Cy Young winners, facing off today. Expecting a low-scoring game here, as Brandon Black grounds out. But he might beat that out, and he does. That's a base hit to start the first. That'll bring up Corey Williams, who we're still looking to get hot here in the postseason, but he strikes out. Henson's got some pretty elite velo. That fastball can get into 100, and there you see a 99-mile-an-hour heater, and the runner thrown out going to second. That erases a leadoff base hit, as now Soriano strikes out. Not expecting a whole lot of offense here while these two starters are on the mound. Both of them are very good at limiting base runners. But as I say that, the Royals have 2 on in the top of the second. Count is even at 2-2. And that's strike 3, a big pitch. Oh, Vasquez with a 2-run shot. I started to simulate here because not much was happening, and there is a 2-0 lead for the Nationals. But right in the top of the 5th now, the very next inning, 2 runners on and nobody out for the Royals. And now there's a ground ball to third. That's one away. And that is a hardliner knocked down by Soriano. That'll save extra bases, but that's still a run. Still one out as Fernandez steps in and gets a really good pitch to hit, but that's going to be lined right to the left fielder. And we got lucky there because that was an 88-mile-an-hour sinker right down the middle. So one more out to get as Rob McCracken steps in, and he's going to fly out to left. Reynolds gets out of it. Archie Henson's still in this game for the Royals, and he is dominant right now. That heater is tough to get to. Not a whole lot still has happened in this game as it's 2-1, but nobody out. Leadoff double from Corey Williams. But Soriano goes down looking. He does that a lot. That'll bring up Vasquez, who homered already today. But this time he strikes out. So it's up to Julio Mateo to drive home Williams. 2-strike pitch. And Mateo reaches for that one. But it bounces off the backstop. It's rolling all the way back to the mound. And Mateo's safe. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Look at this. Right through the wickets. And a hard bounce off that stone backstop. The ball just escapes the catcher's reach. Ahead to the bottom of the 8th now where we've got 2 runners on looking for some insurance. And Julio Mateo with the ground ball to short. That could be 2. And it is. So only 1 run for Nick Story to play with here and getting the save. And he'll be facing the top of the lineup. 1-2-3. There's a ground ball to second. That'll be out number 1. Another good hitter here, Steve Garbolo. And he's going to ground one. Diving attempt by Williams. And the play is not made. That brings the go-ahead run to the plate. Who grounds it to third. The Gold Glover Soriano to second for 1. Over to first. And we got 2 to win Game 1. What a play. After a close Game 1, we're underway for Game 2 where Tim Shepard takes the hill. Leadoff triple from Julio Mateo, followed by a double from Bermudez, and we strike first. And now a 3-run shot from Soriano, and that's a 4 spot in the 3rd inning. Tim Shepard continues to pitch well ahead to the 6th. He's given up no runs. And he'll turn the ball over to the bullpen in the 7th. And so far, it was just that one big 3rd inning from us. We haven't been able to put up any other runs. But the Royals were not able to get a single run, and we win Game 2 4-0. Great start to the World Series. And a great start also from Tim Shepard, who then turned it over to the bullpen, who only gave up 1 hit through the final 3 innings. So after an off day, we head to Kansas City for the first game there, which we win, and that means we will have 4 chances to close out this series. All hands are on deck there for Game 3. 6 pitchers combined for 9 innings. We did give up 5, but we scored 6. 13 seasons later and many, many days in real life, we are 1 game away from completing the challenge. And that is drilled by Brandon Black. Leadoff homer. Deep right. 410. And that is a dream start for the Nationals as we strike very quickly. And look at the haircut here on the Royal starter. I am not sure what is going on there. That's like Ace of Spades or something. It only felt right today to start Andy Inman, one of our most veteran pitchers drafted in 2026, 3.46 career ERA. Hoping for a good start from him today, but he gives up a tying home run in the 1st. But we get it right back to Hayden with a solo shot in the 2nd. So we're up 1 in the 3rd as Williams comes to the plate. And Williams with a base hit through the left side. Great to see that. Can the 1-2 punch of Williams and Soriano finally do some damage? I feel like Soriano struck out almost every at-bat that I've seen. But this time he gets a fastball down the middle, makes good contact, but flies out. Trouble here as there's 2 runners on in the 3rd for the Royals. Fernandez down 1-2 in the count, and that's strike 3. Kansas City's gone to their bullpen early. Full count pitch to Soriano. That's right down the middle, and that is slapped the other way for an RBI base hit. Finally, a big hit for Soriano as we extend the lead. Huge chance to really blow this game open as the bases are loaded for Brandon Black in the 6th. 2-2 pitch to the 2035 batting champion. He lines one into right. That'll be caught. But we maintain a 2-run lead as Inman has pitched very well, but there's a couple of base runners, and now the bases are loaded with nobody out. I'm surprised the CPU didn't go to the bullpen here. Inman remains in the game. If we could come out of this inning still with a lead, that would be huge as Inman gets a strikeout. And now we are going to go to the bullpen for Sherwood Yancey, trying to take advantage of the lefty-lefty matchup as there's strike three. Just one strike away from getting out of this, and there it is. What a pitch. Biggest moment of the rebuild for our pitching staff right there. All we need is the bullpen to work 2 more clean innings. Nick Story comes in 3 outs away from a World Series title. 5, 6, 7 due up for the Royals as there's a strikeout. Now just 2 outs away, but that's ball 4. That means the tying run will come to the plate, but Wilson strikes out. And I can almost taste the victory as that is softly popped into right, coming on and making the catch. The Nationals win the World Series. 13 seasons later, from a squad full of Joe Randoms to a legendary roster, the fellas celebrate in Kansas City as they are world champions. And none other than Elvis Tejeda is the World Series MVP. What a player. Roger Vasquez takes home the postseason MVP with 11 RBIs. And after some very close calls and really strong seasons, we are finally World Series champions. Special shout out to Corey Williams, who was absolutely electric to follow out throughout this rebuild, and he also had one of the greatest seasons of all time here in 2036. And I think I have to give pitcher of this rebuild to Andy Inman. I really hope you enjoyed this video. It took a long time to put together, and it was a lot of fun. If you enjoyed it, I would really appreciate it if you could leave a like and subscribe for future content. That was very challenging. We accomplished our goal, and I will see you soon with the next MLB The Show rebuild.